cinematics. In this session, hi everyone, and welcome to Entrepreneur Holiday Cinematics. In this session, we're going to do something a little special. We'll take your holiday moments and turn them into cinematic, story-driven visuals that speak to who you are as an entrepreneur. These images aren't just for show, they are part of your personal brand language. Each one tells your audience something deeper that you value, balance, creativity, and intentional living. Now, I've prepared this section using an entrepreneur lifestyle as the main example, but here's the great part. You can adapt every single prompt to fit your own world. Whether you're in education, fashion, leadership, or wellness, you can simply adjust the details or even translate the prompts using Gemini, ChatGPT, or any AI image tool you like. The same storytelling logic applies, just tailor it to your profession, your vibe, and your message. That's how you get visuals that perfectly reflect your ideas and brand identity. Because here's the thing, when your visuals look consistent and carry a clear story, you are not just posting pretty pictures, you are building trust and identity. Whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, or TikTok, your followers instantly recognize your tone, your energy, your lifestyle. You start standing out as that modern entrepreneur who blends work, creativity, and freedom with ease. So here's what we'll focus on together. Mastering cinematic storytelling for social media, creating lifestyle visuals that actually attract engagement, building a cohesive visual story that says, I live what I teach. Let's dive right in. Let's start with the first scene, morning inspiration on a balcony. It is calm and intention. Picture yourself on a quiet balcony as the world wakes up, sunlight spilling across the horizon. Coffee in hand, notebook open, thoughts flowing freely. This is the morning energy every entrepreneur needs, peaceful yet full of purpose. Here is the prompt. Uploaded entrepreneur sitting on a balcony overlooking the ocean or mountains, wearing a casual linen shirt and pants, holding coffee, notebook or tablet open, soft morning sunlight, cinematic warm tones, shallow depth of field, relaxed yet thoughtful expression. When you generate this image, you'll see that beautiful golden morning warm sunlight gently touching your face, the background softly blurred, a peaceful moment captured mid-thought. It feels personal, yet deeply aspirational, like your audience just stepped into your morning routine. Use this for your morning thoughts or mindset reset posts. Now we shift gears from calm reflection to creative movement. This is the scene 2 beachside brainstorm. Imagine walking barefoot along a quiet beach, waves brushing the shore, ideas dancing in your mind. This is where creativity meets freedom, the kind of moment that says, I can work from anywhere, because I designed my life this way. Here is the prompt. Uploaded entrepreneur walking barefoot along a beach, holding a laptop or notebook, rolled up linen pants, casual shirt, wind tousling hair, golden hour glow, soft pastel sky, cinematic reflection on wet sand. When you use this prompt, the results are simply magical. The golden light plays off the water, your reflection stretches behind you, it's both grounding and inspiring. It visually communicates mobility, independence, and that signature entrepreneur lifestyle energy. This one's perfect for sharing creative thoughts, quotes, or reflections on freedom, work-life design, and self-direction. Next, we are in scene 3, urban cafe, co-working. From the beach, we head back into the city, but this time with intention and warmth. Picture yourself at a cozy, stylish cafe. Your laptop is open, coffee steaming beside it, sunlight streaming through large windows. The atmosphere hums with quiet productivity. This scene captures the sweet spot between focus and comfort. Here is the prompt. Uploaded entrepreneur in a stylish city cafe, laptop open, coffee nearby, natural sunlight streaming through windows, soft reflections on table, subtle street view outside, warm cinematic tones, casual professional pose. The resulting image feels real and relatable, a balance of professionalism and ease. The soft reflections on the table and warm tones create that intimate, in the moment feel, like someone snapped a photo of you mid-thought. Use this image for posts about your creative process, your daily routine, or the joy of flexible work. It shines especially well on LinkedIn or Twitter when you want to look authentic but still polished. Scene 4 is about sunset adventure and reflection. Now, let's pause. Every entrepreneur needs a moment to breathe, to look back, and to realign with their bigger vision. Picture yourself standing on a hill or cliff, the sun slowly dipping below the horizon. The wind moves gently through your clothes, and everything around you glows with that warm, cinematic softness. This is your reflection moment where your visuals capture wisdom and growth. Here is the prompt. Uploaded entrepreneur standing on a cliff or hill, watching the sunset, casual linen outfit, wind moving clothing slightly, cinematic soft glow, past the sky, warm ambient light, thoughtful expression, white framing, and once generated, this image feels almost like a movie. Still, soft lighting, open framing, and that sense of stillness that speaks volumes. It shows depth, vision, and emotional connection. Use this for posts about gratitude, milestones, or the lessons learned through your journey. Our last scene is called Rooftop Evening Networking. So let's end with connection, the social side of success. Imagine yourself at a rooftop terrace, city lights twinkling behind you. You're holding a glass, relaxed and confident, surrounded by warm lights and good company. This is the scene that says, I built something I'm proud of and I enjoy sharing it. Here is the prompt. Uploaded entrepreneur at a rooftop terrace, city lights in the background, holding a cocktail, relaxed confident pose, ambient fairy lights, warm cinematic tones, candid natural smile. The result is cinematic and intimate warm tones, glowing city lights, and that confident yet approachable energy. It's elegance and authenticity in one frame. Perfect for wrapping up your week's visual story, a post about connection, gratitude, or celebration. Now, we generated 5 images and it is time to build your social media story. Imagine all 5 scenes together, from your quiet morning reflections to your evening rooftop confidence. Together, they tell a cohesive story. 1 week in the life of a modern entrepreneur who works with purpose and lives with freedom. You can arrange them as a carousel, story series, or even a 3x2 grid for your profile. The key is consistency. Keep the same warm tones and cinematic lighting so everything feels part of one visual identity. Try tying your posts together with short, simple captions that echo the emotion of each scene. By the end of this project, you won't just have 5 beautiful images, you'll have a cohesive visual narrative that represents who you are. Not just as a business owner, but as someone living an intentional, inspiring, and modern lifestyle that others will aspire to follow. Now that you built your cinematic story through those 5 powerful scenes, let's take it one step further. It's time to share it strategically. Because great visuals only reach their full potential when they're shared with intention. You already have the story. Now let's turn it into a week-long posting plan that builds rhythm, engagement, and connection with your audience. Think of this as your entrepreneur holiday 5-day posting journey. Each day represents a chapter in your story, from calm morning inspiration to confident evening connection. Start your week with warmth and focus through your morning balcony scene. Move into freedom and creativity with your beachside brainstorm. Then bring your audience into your daily rhythm with your urban cafe co-working moment. As the week slows, invite reflection with your sunset adventure and close with confidence through your rooftop networking post. When you follow this sequence, one image, one message, one call to action per day, you're not just posting content. You're building a cinematic brand rhythm. And when Friday comes, wrap it all up with a short carousel or reel summarizing your entrepreneur holiday week. Overlay words like balance, focus, freedom, reflection, connection. These keywords become part of your brand language, the emotions people will associate with your name and your lifestyle. So, by the end of this journey, you'll have not only 5 stunning visuals, but also a storytelling flow that your audience can follow. Remember, and feel inspired by a lifestyle that's cinematic, authentic, and completely you. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving into something super fun and a little advanced. We are going to take your cinematic studio portraits and turn them into animated characters, Disney-style words, and even short video animations using Nano, Banana, and Whisk. Here's how we'll do it, step by step, so it's easy to follow. First, we'll create 5 cinematic studio portraits, realistic, professional, and visually striking. Then, we'll transform those portraits into 3 different animation styles. Pixar, soft and emotional, anime, energetic, and full of expression. Comic 3D, bold and graphic. Next, we'll bring your real self and your Pixar self together into a Disney-style environment. Think of it as your cinematic meets your animated moment. And finally, we'll hop into Whisk to create a short animated conversation between your real and Pixar versions, fun, creative, and perfect for sharing on social media. So, let's jump in and take this journey from studio lighting all the way to your animation dream. First, let's jump into creating realistic portraits using Nano Banana. In the resources section, you'll find all the full prompts. But for this lesson, we'll focus on 5 key prompts to keep it practical. We'll generate 5 cinematic 4K portraits using your uploaded image. Here's what each one does and the results you can expect. The first prompt, low angle intense studio portrait, creates a bold, dramatic studio shot with a low angle spotlight. This emphasizes the jawline, textures, and fine details in clothing and skin. The character leans slightly forward, projecting confidence and intensity. Expect deep shadows that add dimension, a sharp cinematic feel, and a high-end editorial look. The background is dark and minimal, keeping the focus entirely on the subject. Next, the side-lit contemplative portrait uses strong directional light from one side, creating deep shadows on the opposite side. This gives the image a moody, introspective atmosphere. Facial expressions are highlighted subtly, and textures like hair, fabric, and skin catch the light beautifully. The result feels cinematic and emotional, almost like a still from an art house film. Perfect for storytelling or a reflective mood. The third one, high-key minimalist studio shot, is bright, clean, and ultra-sharp. The lighting is soft but evenly distributed, highlighting every detail with clarity. Expect minimal shadows and a crisp focus that emphasizes posture and expression. This creates a professional, modern aesthetic perfect for portfolios, social media, or corporate branding, where a polished and approachable look is key. Then we have dramatic rimlit sitting portrait, which uses rim lighting to outline the character's silhouette, while a soft key light softly illuminates the face. This produces a three-dimensional cinematic effect, separating the subject from the background. Shadows and highlights add depth, giving the portrait a dynamic, editorial feel. The pose is relaxed yet confident, making it ideal for high-impact, stylish visuals that feel contemporary and bold. Finally, leaning on wall, soft expression creates a relaxed, casual vibe with soft, even lighting. Shadows are gentle, and the light follow keeps the mood approachable and natural. Expect a calm, authentic expression and textures that feel realistic and tactile. This is perfect for lifestyle shots, personal branding, or portraits that need warmth and relatability while still maintaining a cinematic quality. Using these prompts, you'll generate portraits that are ultra-realistic, cinematic, and versatile. Each one emphasizes different lighting setups, moods, and poses, giving you a variety of looks from the same image: professional, emotional, editorial, and lifestyle ready. Now that we have our 5 clean cinematic portraits, it's time to take them to the next level with animation transformations using Nano Banana. In this step, we'll turn each portrait into 3 distinct styles: Pixar, anime, and 3D comic. The key is that we keep the same pose, outfit, and lighting from the original portrait, so the transformations feel natural but stylistically unique. However, to make the most of our time, I am selecting the third prompt as a reference and will generate based on the resulting photograph. I will create 3 types of animated portraits using this photograph as a reference. So, let's apply the first prompt to transform my portrait into Pixar style first. Transform this cinematic portrait into a Pixar style 3D animated character. Keep identical pose, outfit, and lighting. Add expressive Pixar style eyes, soft smooth skin texture, cinematic reflections, warm glow, and emotional tone. Slight facial stylization, glossy finish, gentle bloom light. Maintain realism with Pixar character charm. The first style is Pixar. The image is really similar to what we expected. Here, the portrait becomes a 3D Pixar style character while maintaining realism and cinematic charm. Expect expressive, oversized eyes, soft and smooth skin textures, and warm cinematic reflections. There is a slight facial stylization to give that friendly, animated feel, combined with a gentle glow and subtle bloom lighting. The result is both emotionally engaging and visually rich, perfect for storytelling or playful branding visuals. Next, we have the anime style. Here is the prompt we will use for the third image as a reference that I call the anime style prompt. Transform this cinematic portrait into a Japanese anime style character. Keep the same pose and composition. Add clean anime line work, vivid eye reflections, cel-shaded lighting, soft color gradients, and emotional expressiveness. Maintain cinematic proportions but with stylized edges and bold anime visual energy. This transforms the portrait into a Japanese anime-inspired character, keeping the pose and composition intact. You'll see clean line work, vibrant eye reflections, cel-shaded lighting, and soft color gradients, giving it that signature anime energy. Proportions remain cinematic but stylized with bold edges and expressive visuals, producing a dynamic and emotionally engaging illustration that still feels connected to the original photo. Finally, the third style is the comic version of the reference image. Here is the prompt. Transform this cinematic portrait into a stylized 3D comic book hero version. Keep the same pose and lighting setup. Add graphic outlines, half-tone texture on background, bold comic lighting, high contrast tones, slightly exaggerated facial structure. Blend realism with modern 3D comic stylization for a cinematic magazine look. Finally, the stylized 3D comic version turns the portrait into a modern comic book hero. It keeps the original pose and lighting but adds graphic outlines, half-tone textures, and bold high-contrast lighting, Facial features are slightly exaggerated, giving the character a powerful, dramatic feel. The blend of realism and 3D comic stylization produces a cinematic, magazine-ready effect perfect for bold, stylized visuals or editorial storytelling. So, we now have three animated images. It is time to put these images together and transform these real and animated images into one fantastic scene. This means we are going to the next step, Disney-style environment image creation. Now, let's merge both worlds, your real portrait and Pixar version, into one creative scene. Our goal is to create a storytelling moment, these two worlds meeting. So here is the prompt in general. Create a 4K cinematic image of the real and Pixar versions of the same person in a cozy Disney-style animation studio. Real character on a chair, Pixar version at a drawing desk. Include warm light, sketches, glowing monitors, Pixar props, and cinematic reflections. 35mm camera, shallow depth, dreamy but realistic tone. Nano Banana generated the image and the result is really fantastic. The final image shows your real self and Pixar character together in a warm, creative studio setting. You'll see soft, emotional lighting, artistic props, and subtle cinematic reflections. The scene combines realism and animation charm, giving a visually rich storytelling moment where your two worlds interact naturally. Next, let's create another environment for the real and animated characters. I won't go through the full prompt process this time. We'll fast forward directly to the results. You can find all the detailed prompts in the attached file under this lecture. So, we asked Nano Banana, we generated the scene. Your real self is seated in a cozy chair, smiling curiously at your animated version standing beside an animation desk. The studio comes alive with warm light, sketches, glowing monitors, and creative tools. Cinematic reflections and subtle dust particles enhance the emotional, inspiring, and slightly dreamy atmosphere, perfectly blending realism with animated charm. Okay, now we have two Disney-style images. The first image my real me with my Pixar character, and the second shows my real self with my animated character in a Disney-style environment. Now we have two Disney-style images. It's time to turn this into a short animated video with a touch of humor. To do this, we'll use Google Whisk. You can access it by visiting labs.google.com and opening the Whisk app. Here's the situation. Whisk needs to learn the last two Disney-style environment photos we created to generate the animation. So, we first need to upload these photos to Whisk as subjects. When choosing the aspect ratio, I select 16:9 horizontal because I want a wide video output. However, sometimes Whisk changes my appearance slightly, causing a character consistency issue. In other words, my Pixar or anime character stays the same, but my real self may look a bit different. Here's a simple trick to fix that. First, upload the Disney-style photo you want to animate. Then, upload a clear photo of your own face as the second subject. After that, enter this prompt. Replace the real human in this scene with the uploaded photo. Keep the Pixar character, studio, props, lighting, and atmosphere exactly the same. Preserve pose, perspective, and cinematic style. This way, the generated image will look much more like you. Remember, whenever you face a character consistency issue, use your own photo as a reference to fix it. Now, go back to Whisk. Delete the old photos under the Subjects section and upload your latest consistency corrected image. Select the 16:9 ratio again and click Generate. The new photo now has full character consistency. Next, to create animation, click the animate icon in the top left corner of the image. In the pop-up window, simply enter your animation prompt. You can use this animation prompt as a reference to create new story ideas for your own scenes. After a short processing time, your video will be ready and trust me, it looks amazing.
Hey, you look kind of like me. Or maybe you're the animated one. Who's real now? Hey, you look kind of like me. Or maybe you're the animated one. Who's real now?
Let's repeat the same process to create another animation. This time for the second Disney-style environment featuring me and my animated character. Let's quickly review the steps. First, upload the Disney environment photo, then upload your reference image as a subject in Whisk to generate the final result. This allows Whisk to recognize your image and use it as a reference for the animation. Once the image is generated, open the animation section and enter the following prompt also included in the attached file. Create a 10-second animation where both characters discuss who made who. The animate character says, "You designed me in Nano Banana." The real one smiles. "Yeah, but now you look more cinematic than me." Animate version laughs. "Well, I had a little extra lighting help." Add playful cinematic background, Pixar studio setting, and soft humor tone.
You designed me in Nano Banana.
Yeah, but now you look more cinematic than me.
Well, I had a little extra lighting help. You designed me in Nano Banana.
Yeah, but now you look more cinematic than me.
Well, I had a little extra lighting help.
Moreover, you can experiment with more prompts to create additional video animations.
I live in animation, but you dream in reality.
And now we both exist in light.
For your information, Google Whisk allows you to generate 3 animations per month. Whisk connects with Urok3 to produce these animations, so this feature isn't unlimited. However, you can create a new Google account and sign in with it to get additional free animations. And that's it, you just completed one of the most exciting Nano Banana cinematic projects ever. You didn't just create portraits, you built your animation universe. You started with cinematic lighting, brought your character to life in Pixar, anime, and comic worlds, then merged them into one studio and finally gave them a voice in Whisk. This is the future of visual storytelling, art, identity, and emotion working together. Now go share your creation, tag your Nanobana project, and let the world meet both your cinematic and animated selves. You just turned imagination into reality and reality into animation. Hello and welcome. In this lecture, we're going to explore the extreme bonus capabilities of NanoBanana Pro. The Gemini 3 Pro model, Gemini's latest and most advanced model, was released very recently. It now understands much better text and can generate more advanced images, video and audio. NanoBanana represents the image generation part of this, and it has really raised the bar. I've experimented with it a little bit, so if you're ready, let's briefly look at what we will see in this video today. Why does this new version, NanoBanana Pro, operate on a completely different level than the previous one? Because this model is no longer just an AI that generates images. It emerges as a system that can literally think, understand the world, pull live data from the internet, and turn it into something creative. Let's break down these updates step by step with simple and great examples. The first big leap, reasoning power. Now, before creating a scene, Banana analyzes physically how it should function. It thinks beforehand, then draws. For example, when we say a cat sitting on glass, it doesn't just draw a cat. It used to be like that. Now it calculates all logical elements, such as how the cat's paw will press against the glass, how the light will refract through the glass, and where the reflection will fall. It draws completely based on logic and laws of physics, starting from zero guesswork. The second innovation is word knowledge. This model knows how the real world works. It recognizes concepts, cultural elements, processes, details of famous structures, everything. For instance, when we say make a water cycle infographic, it doesn't just draw random shapes with weird text. It legibly shows where precipitation settles, how evaporation occurs, etc. It places everything correctly. Essentially, it researches real-world knowledge, understands the topic, and makes infographics for you accordingly. And for me, the crazy feature is real-time information. It connects to Google Live, it's Google's model. After all, it pulls that instant information and visualizes it for you, even if the information is current. For example, if we say create a panel showing the current weather in Tokyo, the old model couldn't do this. It doesn't draw a made-up estimate or a fake graph anymore. It takes whatever is actually happening in Tokyo at that moment and visualizes it. Rain, 18 degrees Celsius, it places everything exactly. Before we jump into the example prompt, let me quickly show you how to access Nano Banana Pro, because this is something many people get confused about at first. Right now, there are two official Google platforms where you can access Nano Banana Pro. The first one is gemini.google.com and the second is astudio.google.com. Both give you official access to the model. On top of that, I personally also use Nano Banana Pro through OpenArt AI because I have a paid OpenArt plan. So depending on your workflow, you can comfortably use Nano Banana Pro there as well. Now let me walk you through the Gemini option, step by step. First, log into gemini.google.com. Once you're inside, look toward the bottom right corner of the screen. You'll see the model selection area. From there, choose Gemini 3, Thinking with 3 Pro. After selecting the model, go to the text box and click on the Create Image icon. The moment you do that, Gemini switches the image engine to Nano Banana Pro automatically. That's it. At this point, you are fully inside Nano Banana Pro and ready to start generating images with advanced reasoning and control. Let's apply an example prompt to examine stronger reasoning ability of Nano Banana. Here is the prompt that I called it, the cause and effect crime scene. A detective's corkboard connecting evidence. A red string physically connects a photo of a muddy boot on the left to a map of Central Park on the right. A second string connects a broken watch at the top to a timestamp received at the bottom. The strings cast realistic shadows, proving they are pinned above the photos. Let me show you why this image matters. Because this isn't about style or visuals, it's about how Nano Banana Pro thinks. I give the prompt and I am very clear. I say the muddy boot stays on the left, the map goes on the right, the watch sits at the top, and the receipt goes at the bottom. That already forces the model to understand position. It can't guess. It has to build a mental layout first. And that's exactly what happens. Nothing floats randomly. Left is left, right is right, top is top, bottom is bottom. The model clearly understands space, not just objects. Then comes the harder part. I describe two strings. One string connects the boot to the map, the second string connects the watch to the receipt. Older models usually fail here. They blend everything together, strings cross, and logic breaks. Nano Banana Pro doesn't do that. It keeps the connections clean. This string belongs only to this pair. That string belongs only to that pair. Two ideas run at the same time and neither interferes with the other. That's strong relational thinking. Now look at the shadows. I say the strings are pinned above the photos, so they must cast realistic shadows. To get this right, the model has to reason about depth and light. If something sits above, light hits it first and the shadow appears slightly offset. The result proves that thinking, the shadows make sense. The board feels physical, not flat. So when someone asks why Nano Banana Pro shows stronger reasoning, this is the answer. Most AI models imagine a scene. Nano Banana Pro constructs it. It follows direction, respects relationships, and applies real-world cause and effects. That's why the result looks clean, logical, and intelligent, and that's what stronger reasoning really means. Let's move very quickly to another example, just to sharpen this idea of reasoning even more. I call this a spatial IQ test for Nano Banana Pro. Here's the prompt I give. A transparent glass cube sitting on a wooden table. Inside the cube is a red apple. Behind the cube, outside, is a blue book. To the left of the cube is a green quill. The view is from the front center. The blue book must be distorted by the glass refraction, but the green quill should be clear. Now pause for a second and think about what this really asks. This is not an art request, this is a logic exam. First, the model has to understand inside versus outside. The apple goes inside the cube, the book stays behind it. That already forces depth reasoning. Then there's front-facing perspective. The view comes from the front center, so positions must make sense from that angle. No clever cheating with camera tricks. Then comes the hardest part. Optical logic. Only the blue book sits behind the glass, so only the blue book should bend and distort. The green quill sits on the left, outside the cube, so it must remain clean and sharp. Nano Banana applies refraction only where physics allows it. The apple stays clearly inside. The book bends and warps through the glass. The quill remains untouched and sharp. That result tells us everything. The model doesn't just see objects, it understands where objects exist in space, how light behaves, and which rules apply to which object. So again, the pattern stays the same. This model doesn't imagine scenes, it reasons through them. That's why these images feel correct at first glance. Your brain doesn't argue with them. Everything behaves the way reality expects, and that's the clearest signal of stronger reasoning. Alright, now that we've seen how Nano Banana Pro reasons about space and physics, let's move to the second big innovation, world knowledge. This is huge. This model doesn't just place objects or calculate shadows, it actually understands how the real world works. It knows concepts, processes, cultural details, even famous structures. In other words, it's not just a creative engine, it's a knowledge engine. To see this in action, let's do a simple example everyone loves. Cheesecake. Imagine you want to make a cheesecake at home, but you don't want to sift through boring recipes, or hunt for videos, or organize a list of steps yourself. You just want a clear visual guide that shows exactly what to do in the right order, with the right ingredients at the right time. Here's the prompt I gave Nano Banana Pro. Ultimate berry cheesecake step by step, hyper-realistic high-res editorial-style food photography on white marble countertop. Show all 6 stages. Crust, filling, water bed bake, cooling, berry topping, final plated slice. Include recipe boxes at the bottom of each image with ingredients and step instructions. Bright natural lighting, deep focus, vibrant colors, photorealistic, 8K, 50mm lens, modern cookbook style. Notice what we're testing here. We are testing here cooking logic, ingredients knowledge, process accuracy. When Nano Banana Pro generates the image, here's what happens. The crust appears first, clearly labeled. Cream cheese mixing comes next, and the ingredients are placed correctly. Baking and cooling steps are visually distinct. Blueberry topping is added only at the right stage. The final assembly looks realistic, clean, and easy to follow. Everything follows real-world logic, not just artistic interpretation. So, if you connect this to what we just learned about reasoning, before the model engineered space, relationships, and physics in an image. Now it also applies real-world knowledge, understanding processes and concepts the way a human expert would. That's why the results don't just look good, they teach, guide, and make sense. In short, Nano Banana Pro doesn't just draw with things like a professional, whether in physics, relationships, or word knowledge. Let me close this section with one last very quick example, just to lock in what we mean by word knowledge. I use a passport application timeline. The image Nano Banana Pro generates is clean and immediately familiar. You see document submission first, then identity verification, background checks, processing, approval, and finally delivery. Nothing jumps ahead. Nothing is missing. The flow feels exactly like a real government process. That result matters because this isn't visual creativity, it's procedural understanding. The model knows how real-world systems operate and translates that knowledge into a logical visual sequence. It understands that a passport isn't approved before checks happen and that delivery only comes at the end. So, again, the pattern stays consistent throughout this lecture. Nano Banana Pro doesn't just make things look nice, it understands how the world works and builds images that follow real rules, whether that's physics, cooking, or bureaucracy. For time efficiency, I'll stop here. You can find many more word knowledge test prompts and variations in the attached file if you want to explore this capability further. Alright, let's continue smoothly from word knowledge into the third capability of Nano Banana Pro. This one goes a step further. It's about simulating real-time information and presenting it clearly. Until now, we've seen the model understand logic, space, physics, cooking, and bureaucracy. Now it tests something harder. Can it act like it understands live, up-to-date information, and show it in a professional visual format? Now let me clarify something important here, because this part often gets misunderstood. What we are seeing next is not just good guessing or generic word knowledge. Nano Banana Pro gets instant access to current information through the internet, and then it resonates about that information visually. So this feature is really about real-time information, awareness plus presentation intelligence. I start with this prompt, and I read it clearly to the model. A full-page professional infographic with a clean white background. Titled Top 5 Sunglasses Under $100 in Milan. Modern minimal layout comparing Ray-Ban New Wayfarer, Polaroid, and Oakley frog skins in columns for price, lens type, and pros. Sharp typography, premium graphic design style, soft natural light, top-down view, no table, no background textures, no surrounding objects. Now look at the result image. What's happening here is very important. The model doesn't invent random brands or fake comparisons. It pulls current market knowledge, understands which brands are realistic under that budget, and organizes them exactly the way a real consumer infographic would. Prices feel believable. Product positioning makes sense. Design language matches modern retail visuals. This shows a clear chain. Live information structure reasoning, clean visual output. Now we push this further from products to live systems. Here's the second prompt. An easy-to-understand live traffic map illustration of central Paris streets viewed top-down like a navigation app. Main roads clearly labeled, with traffic conditions shown using color coding. Red for heavy traffic, orange for medium traffic, green for light traffic. Simple, clean map design, minimal labels, clear road lines, intuitive layout. The result feels instantly familiar, and that's not an accident. Nano Banana Pro taps into real traffic logic and live data patterns, then visualizes them using rules we already recognize from navigation apps. Red means stop. Green means go. Major roads carry more load. Nothing feels artistic here, it feels functional. That tells us the model isn't just drawing maps. It's understanding live urban systems and how people consume that information. Now the final test, live weather awareness. Here's the prompt. A simple, easy to read live weather map illustration of Greater London viewed top down. Current weather conditions visualized with clear color zones and icons. Rain intensity, cloud cover, and clear areas. Clean, minimal map style, subtle labels, realistic distribution based on today's actual weather. And again, the result just feels right. Weather zones transition naturally. Icons appear only where needed. Nothing is over-designed. That's because the model first accesses current weather information, then applies visual reasoning to decide what matters most for clarity. So, when you look at everything together, the pattern becomes very clear. First, Nano Banana Pro shows strong reasoning. It understands space, direction, relationships, depth, light. It builds images logically, not randomly. Then we move into word knowledge. It knows how real things work. Cooking a cheesecake, applying for a passport, following real processes step by step. The images don't just look right, they make sense. And finally, we reach the highest level. Real-time information awareness. Here, Nano Banana Pro connects to current data through the internet, understands what's happening right now, and then presents that information visually in a clean, professional way. Product comparisons, traffic maps, weather visuals, all structured the way humans already expect to see them. So this model doesn't just imagine. It doesn't just remember. It reasons, knows, and checks the world and then explains it clearly. That's why Nano Banana Pro feels different. It doesn't create images. It engineers understanding. And that's the real upgrade. In short, we can think of the old Nano Banana as a talented painter working in a place without internet. It produced great things but wasn't aware of what was happening outside. Nano Banana Pro, on the other hand, is like a painter with a smartphone. It researches the world, looks at current information, combines what it sees with logic, and we can have it produce accurate, modern, and incredibly beautiful scenes. That's why saying the model has been updated is really not enough. Sure, the Gemini 3 Pro version has arrived with more than advanced capabilities, but it has transferred it entirely to Nano Banana as well. Now, when we want a photo or give a comment, Nano Banana will think, make logical deduction, and reduce accordingly. Isn't it great? Hello, welcome back. As you know, Nano Banana Pro is Google's new pro-level image model built on Gemini 3. This isn't just about nicer images. The Gemini 3 engine gives it stronger reasoning, better word knowledge, and much higher text accuracy inside images. That means you can paste real content and generate readable, correctly formatted magazine pages, infographics, diagrams, even live data snapshots. Now let's take a quick look at what we can accurately do with this text capability. Imagine you're reading an article on web. You don't just want to read it. You want to turn the entire text into a magazine page, like it was published in a real printed editorial. This could be for advertising, presentations, design mockups, or simply learning the content better in a visual way. Let's test it. First, you can copy the text directly from the web page. Then paste it the full text into this prompt inside the Write Your Text Here section. That's it. Nano Banana Pro takes that raw text and generates a visual exactly based on the prompt with proper layout, typography, images, and formatting. And suddenly your raw text is no longer just words. It looks like a finished editorial layout. No InDesign, no Photoshop, no extra steps. That's why this is so powerful. This isn't a demo trick. This is something you can actually use in real creative workflows right now. So one of the biggest improvements in this update is clearly text. And honestly, from my own experience, text has always been the problem with image models. The moment you try to put a lot of text inside an image, especially long sentences, something would break. Spelling mistakes, missing letters, wrong words, it was never reliable. But it really feels like Nano Banana Pro has solved that long text accuracy problem. This model doesn't just handle one word or a short label. It handles long-form text, curved text, even very small text, and it stays readable. Let me show you a simple example. I wanted to push it a bit, so I did something that's actually pretty brutal for AI. I asked Nano Banana Pro to put multiple full sentences directly onto a banana. Not flat text, text that follows the curve of the banana. Here's the exact prompt I used. Generate a hyper-realistic photo of a banana on a table. Wrap the following text around the banana, following the natural curve of the peel. All text must be fully legible with no spelling mistakes. Then I pasted this text. AI image models used to struggle with text accuracy. Nano Banana Pro changes everything by rendering long-form text perfectly, even on curved surfaces. And the result? Every single word is readable. The text naturally curves around the banana, and there's not a single spelling mistake. I actually tried to make it harder. I added more sentences, more words, expecting it to fail at some point. It didn't. Still clean, still readable, still accurate, and honestly, this alone is kind of insane. Because if a model can handle this, then things like magazines, menus, posters, packaging, and educational visuals suddenly become very real use cases. Well, we can actually push it even further. We've got a few more examples that show just how versatile Nano Banana Pro is with text. And by the way, the prompts for all of these are in the attached file, so you can try them yourself. There's the spiral text banana, where the text wraps all the way around in 3D. Even with that crazy spiral, every word is readable and perfect. Then we have the luxury branding banana, text printed along the peel like a real premium product, clean, sharp, flawless kerning. And finally, the real world chaos tests the handheld banana over a cafe table. Perspective, lighting, and movement all come into play, but the text still stays fully legible. All of this really show how Nano Banana Pro can handle text in super tricky scenarios, curved surfaces, tiny lettering, motion, and realistic lighting, and still give spot-on, spelling error-free results. After the banana example, the next thing I wanted to test was something very real world, a restaurant menu. Menus are actually one of the hardest things for AI. Lots of text, very small font sizes, dish names, ingredients, prices, there's so much that can go wrong. The process is super simple. I just copy a clean menu prompt into Nano Banana Pro, then I copy the full menu list, all the categories, descriptions, and prices and paste it in. And I hit generate, that's it. Nano Banana Pro one-shots the entire menu as a single, clean cafe layout. Headings, sections, illustrations, prices, everything is there and readable. What really impressed me is how small the text can be while still staying legible. The hierarchy makes sense, spacing is clean, and it genuinely looks like a real, printable cafe menu. Did I spot one or two tiny spelling issues? Maybe, but considering the amount of text on this image, this is shockingly good. This kind of result is actually usable for mockups, client previews, design drafts, or even learning layouts. It's not about perfection anymore. It's about getting 90-95% of the job done instantly with no design tools at all. Now, picture this. You got a restaurant menu in English, but you don't understand English. Normally translating that while keeping the same style, spacing, and fonts? Total nightmare. With Nano Banana Pro, it's actually super simple. First, copy this prompt and paste it into Nano Banana. Then you just upload the menu image and tell it which language you want, like Arabic. Behind the scenes, the prompt tells it to translate all text, keep the layout and design intact, preserve fonts, alignment, spacing, and even the prices. Hit generate and boom. The result is a perfectly readable Arabic menu, looking exactly like the original English version. Everything stays clean, balanced, and professional. And it's not just menus. You can do this for event flyers, brochures, product labels, infographics, anywhere you need text translated inside a design without losing the style. This little workflow is a game changer for restaurants, hotels, tourism, or any international brand that needs consistent visuals across languages. So far, we've seen Nano Banana Pro handle long text on curved objects, full cafe menus, translations. Everything stays clean and readable. Now here's a slightly different but really powerful scenario. Imagine you take a photo of a whiteboard or a notebook. There is a riddle written on it. Normally, you just read it and move on. With Nano Banana Pro, you can actually take it a step further. You upload the image and give it a very simple instruction. The prompt I use is literally this. Solve the riddle, write the answer on the board, but also briefly explain why it is that specific answer. That's it. Nano Banana Pro reads the text directly from the image, understands the riddle, reasons through it, and then writes the answer back onto the same board. So for something like, I speak without a mouth and hear without ears, it adds answer, an echo, and a short explanation explaining why. The final image stays clean. The original riddle is untouched. The answer is added neatly. The explanation is easy to read. This is perfect for educational visuals where you want to show both problem and reasoning, slides and presentations, question and solution in one image, social media or YouTube demos that show AI reading, thinking, and annotating. This example really shows that Nano Banana Pro isn't just good at text accuracy, it actually reads, understands, reasons, and writes back visually all in one step. One last example, fun but actually very practical. You upload a manga page in English, but let's say you don't understand English. Normally, translating that without breaking the speech, bubbles, or layout would be painful. With Nano Banana Pro, you just upload the image and use a simple prompt like translate all visible English text into Turkish, keep the original speech bubbles, layout, and reading order. Hit generate. The result? Same panels, same bubble placement, same flow. Only the text is now in Turkish, fully readable. This skill is powerful for comics and manga, visual learning content, multilingual publishing, localization without redesign. It's another great example of how Nano Banana Pro handles text inside images accurately, even across languages. Let's move on to the next feature. This new feature of Nano Banana is called Complex Logic and Sequencing. Nano Banana is now more impressive when it comes to organizing complex scenes. Let's examine this with an example. I will give Nano Banana Pro a photo of a completely messed child's room. Logos, toys, clothes everywhere. Absolutely a chaos. And I will simply load this prompt. Can you organize the room in the photo I uploaded, pick up the items and place them? Just that much. The moment the model processes the image, the room turns into something else entirely. It identifies every object one by one, understands logically where they belong, and creates the organized version of the scene as you can see. Legos are now already gathered. Clothes are put in their place. In other words, it organizes the messiness of the room through a logical process and shows a beautiful photo in a typed up state. This shows us that Nano Banana Pro doesn't just generate the image, it understands the scenes, solves the relationship between objects, applies physics and logic rules, and rearranges complex environment with human logic. Now let's go on and see another example. This time, let's test the model in a different scene. Let's see if it can logically visualize an explosion that could result from an accident in a laboratory. My prompt is, the robot arm individual accidentally drops the red liquid it is holding into the glass setup. I don't say anything else. I upload my visual. Notice that I didn't tell Nano Banana to draw an explosion. I didn't say glass will break or make it very dangerous. I gave a simple, very easy command. I said the robot arm accidentally drops the red liquid into the glass setup. The moment the model reads this, it engages the logic of the laboratory environment. It performs logical reasoning. It thinks a chemical reaction could occur. It calculates that this reaction will lead to an explosion. It creates a chain of reasoning. The explosion will break the glass. The assistant inside will panic. The environment will be scattered. And a dangerous scene will emerge. As you can see, it analyzes these events and prepares a visual even though nothing was mentioned in the command. Now let's push that same intelligence in a very different direction. Instead of organizing objects, we test whether Nano Banana Pro understands physics itself. Here's an example that I called it refraction and distortion logic test. For this test, I give Nano Banana Pro a single prompt. A solid crystal sphere resting on a map of the world. Inside the glass sphere, the map lines are optically inverted and magnified. Soft studio lighting, realistic glass caustics on the paper surface. What makes this prompt special is that nothing can be faked. To get this image right, the model must understand how light behaves when it passes through curved glass. Inside a real crystal sphere, straight lines bend. Text and shapes flip upside down. Objects appear magnified at the center. Light creates subtle caustic patterns on the surface below. And Nano Banana Pro handles all of it correctly. The map lines inside the sphere aren't simply blurred or warped. They are physically inverted, exactly as they would be in the real world. The magnification follows the curvature of the glass. The lighting interacts with the sphere naturally, casting soft distortions and realistic highlights onto the paper beneath. This tells us something important. Nano Banana Pro isn't applying a visual filter. It's simulating optical physics. The model understands refraction, curvature, transparency, and light interaction as a logical system that renders the outcome faithfully. Up to this point, we've seen Nano Banana Pro reason about objects, space, and even light. Now, I want to push it into a territory where most image models completely fall apart: liquid behavior. Here's the challenge I call the viscosity and fluid test. I give Nano Banana Pro a very simple looking prompt. A macro shot of a honey dipper lifted from a jar. A single, thick, golden stream of honey flows down, forming a perfect pile on a wooden table. Backlit by warm morning sun, capturing the air bubbles inside the liquid. This is one of those prompts that only looks easy. To get this right, the model has to understand what honey actually does, Not what it looks like in a photo, but how it behaves in real life. Honey doesn't splash, it doesn't break suddenly, it stretches, slows down, resists gravity, and keeps flowing even when it wants to stop. And that's exactly what happens here. The stream feels heavy. It narrows naturally as it falls. When it reaches the table, it doesn't bounce or flatten, it slowly falls onto itself, building that soft layered pile you'd expect from a thick, sticky liquid. Even the air bubbles sit inside the honey, suspended, not randomly scattered or pasted on afterward. Then there's the light. Because the scene is backlit, the light doesn't just hit the surface, it passes through the honey. You get that warm, golden glow, subtle transparency around the edges, and gentle gradients inside the liquid. That only works if the model understands how light behaves inside a dense, translucent material. So what's really happening here isn't image generation. Just like with the crystal sphere and refraction, Nano Banana Pro isn't applying a visual trick or filter. It's reasoning step by step. Density, gravity, viscosity, surface tension, light absorption, and then rendering the result as a coherent, realistic moment. At this point, it becomes very clear. Nano Banana Pro isn't just drawing what you ask for. It's thinking through how the world works first and then showing you the outcome. Okay, thank you for joining the lecture and see you next one. Welcome! This is where things get interesting. Nano Banana Pro claims it can keep up to 5 characters consistent, so instead of testing it with similar faces, I did the opposite. I created 5 completely different characters. Some are fantastical, some are modern superheroes. Their bodies, costumes, markings, and even the worlds they belong to don't overlap at all. And that's important, because the more detailed and different the characters are, the harder consistency becomes, especially when you change the scene, the lighting, or the atmosphere. So I set up a real test. I prepared 3 different scene prompts, each designed to push the model in a different way. The question is simple. Will these 5 characters still look like the same characters no matter where I place them? Before jumping into the combo prompt, let's quickly meet them. Heatwalker is built for extreme heat, blue tone skin, biological facial markings, nothing decorative. Ash region is the elite version of that word. Flawless skin, subtle gold-toned markings, absolute control. Lava-Tide Forager is more raw and nomadic. Her skin reacts to temperature. Her markings move like living heat maps. Kinetic Vanguard is fully grounded in reality. A human-scale superhero in a functional suit carrying fatigue and scars. Phasebreaker is quiet but powerful. She doesn't show off her ability. She slightly bends the space around her. Now comes the real part. I'll use one combo prompt to put all 5 into the same scene, then test them again in different lighting and environments. That's the moment of truth and exactly where Nano Banana Pro has to prove itself. First step is easy. You upload all 5 character reference images into Nano Banana Pro. That's what locks their identities. After that, you don't overthink it. You just copy-paste the combo prompt and run it as is. Combo prompt 1 is the Sky Garden atrium setup. A calm, cinematic group scene above the clouds. Glass architecture, soft greenery, wide arches, shallow water pools. The characters are simply there, standing or sitting, quietly interacting. No action, no hero poses. Wide shot, front-facing, full bodies, visible. Natural daylight, neutral colors, high realism. And most importantly, no redesigns. Now here's where it gets interesting. When the image generates, the first thing you notice is how stable everything feels. All 5 characters immediately read as the same ones you uploaded. Faces don't drift, body proportions stay locked. Outfits don't randomly change just because the environment is bright and clean. Even in strong daylight where models usually break, you still get solid identity. To save time for the second and third combo prompts, I don't even walk through the setup again. I simply show the resulting images and that's enough. You look at the coastal modern pavilion result first. New environment, new lighting, open sea, soft wind. And immediately you see it. The same 5 characters. No face drift, no body changes, no outfit surprises. They feel like they've been smoothly transported into a new location. Then you look at the underground light hole image. This is typically where models struggle: low light, strong shadows, heavy architecture. But again, the consistency holds. Same silhouettes, same proportions, same materials and details. Even spaced apart in a vast hall, they still read as one coherent group. Logically, that's why I don't repeat the process. When identity stays intact across radically different environments, the proof is already there. You're not evaluating prompts anymore, you're verifying character consistency, and that's the point. Let's try another example. This time I uploaded several different characters and used this simple prompt. Depict the characters I uploaded having fun in a modern cafe, in a hyper-realistic style consistently. I upload the characters to Nano Banana, copy-paste the prompt, and run it within a short time. It performs logical reasoning again. The result, in my opinion, is truly impressive. So although there are 7 characters together, not a single face is distorted. Pro Banana has highlighted its reasoning and thinking ability here. Every character has taken their place in the scene, preserved with their style, physical features, and expression integrity. The resulting visuals are consistent and of hyper-realistic quality, because I asked for hyper-realistic in the prompt. The Pro version has kept the bar quite high for character consistency. I think it produced a very high quality and good photo. If I try the same test on the old version for comparison purposes, same prompt, same characters, the result is a bit different. Some characters were not added. This is a significant negative. When added, some faces were distorted or there were problems with resemblance. So, the old version is not as good as the Pro in multi-character scenarios. The Pro model has made itself very good in this regard. Thanks to this feature, you can produce portfolio works if you want, or create content within a social media concept. You can work confidently with multi-character scenes. The more you experiment, the more creative results you can achieve. I can't get the desired result with a prompt in just one go either. I achieved this by trying and experiencing. Don't stay away from this rapid development of AI. I think you should experience these by trying them yourself. Again, I leave the interpretation to you regarding how the same prompt performed in both the Pro and old versions. I wanted to show the character consistency here. This new capability of Nano Banana Pro, studio quality and creative control feature. Thanks to this feature, you can change the camera angle, orchestrate the placement of the objects, shift the focus point completely elsewhere, and produce photos transform into cinematic frame every time, as if managing the scene with a professional camera crew. Based on my experience, prompts related to this feature in the previous model usually disappointed me. I used to try many times, especially to get wide angle or low angle photos. But here, with the extreme shot support as a feature of this, we can get better, high quality photos. It can understand difficult shots like extreme wide angle, extreme low angle, or dramatic perspective flawlessly on the first try. Wonderful scenes emerge. So, my first prompt is this. I have a scene, my own photo, I'm in an attic. Reshot this exact image using 60mm wide angle lens from low angle. And Nano Banana Pro immediately reads the scene, pulls the camera up a bit, and applies the 60mm wide angle. The image remains completely the same, but the perspective is recreated. Surface deformation, perspective wide angles, low dramatic angles, everything is perfectly in place. There is no distortion. It's one-to-one. In my second prompt, there is a photo of a rose in a city scene. But in this rose photo, the focus is primarily on the rose, meaning the city in the background appears blurred. My prompt is this: uploading my photo. Shift the focus entirely to the bustling city street in the background. The red rose in the foreground should be completely blurred out. Here, I am trying to shift the focus to the background and blur the rose out of focus. Immediately after entering my prompt into NanoBanana and uploading my photo, it applies the focus logic clearly. The red rose in the foreground becomes completely blurry and the moving city image in the background comes out clean and sharp. It solves it exactly with the depth of field logic of a real camera and applies it to the scene. Again, as I said, I applied this in the old version too. On the contrary, when I requested focus, the focus never left the rose. The effect of the photo remained exactly the same, but maybe if you try this many times, the old version might do it. In short, thanks to studio quality and creative control, it is very easy to make visuals cinematic in different scenes and shapes. We can view the model as a camera, direct the scene, and start constructing it like real cinematography. And now that you already understand camera control, this is where everything starts to come together. Here's the next pro level feature I want to show you. And honestly, this is one of the most powerful parts of NanoBanana Pro. It's called cinematic storytelling with multi-frame sequences. Think of it like this. Up to now, you've been directing single shots. Now, you're directing an entire scene. Instead of generating one image at a time, NanoBanana Pro allows you to create a sequence of frames in a single prompt, almost like you're storyboarding a short film. Let me show you how this works. What's happening behind the scenes? You start by giving NanoBanana Pro a clear visual context: who the character is, what they're wearing, where they are, and the overall mood. This is exactly like giving instructions to a film crew before shooting begins. Then, instead of stopping at one image, you guide the AI frame by frame. Each frame becomes a camera moment: wide shots to establish the world, medium shots to move the story forward, close-ups to capture emotion, top-down or unusual angles to add cinematic depth. And the key thing here is this: all of this happens in one single generation. So you are not guessing whether the character, lighting, or style will change. NanoBanana Pro keeps everything visually consistent across the entire sequence. Here's an example. Prompt: create a cinematic image sequence of 4 frames. A female journalist wearing a dark trench coat and carrying a notebook is walking through an old European city street during heavy rain at night. Streetlights reflected on wet cobblestones, realistic cinematic lighting, shallow depth of field, ultra-detailed, natural colors, aspect ratio 16:9. Frame 1, wide establishing shot of the narrow street, rain pouring down, warm street lamps glowing, the journalist walking alone between historic buildings. Frame 2, medium shot from the side as she walks, holding her notebook close, raindrops visible in the air, light reflections on the pavement. Frame 3, close-up of her face under the streetlight, rain on her hair and coat, focused and determined expression. Frame 4, extreme close-up of her eyes, reflections of streetlights and rain visible, cinematic depth and emotion. And now, look at the result. What you get here is pure cinematic realism. Not effects, not fantasy, this feels like a scene from a series film. In frame 1, the wide shot grounds the story. You understand the place, the mood, the isolation. The rain and lighting immediately pull you into the scene. Frame 2 creates movement. Now you're walking with her. The reflections and rain make everything feel alive and grounded in reality. In frame 3, the story becomes personal. The close-up shifts the focus from location to emotion. You start asking questions. Who is she? Where is she going? What just happened? And in frame 4, The extreme close-up finishes the scene. The reflections in her eyes connect everything together. The street, the rain, the tension. It feels intentional and cinematic. If you want a single, extreme micro shot focused only on the eyes, here's how you should structure the prompt for Nano Banana Pro. Here is the extreme micro cinematic shot prompt. Create an extreme macro cinematic close-up of human eyes. Ultra detailed skin texture, visible eyelashes, fine wrinkles, natural pores, eyes sharply in focus, iris detail extremely high resolution, subtle reflections of soft street lights visible inside the eyes. Shallow depth of field, cinematic lighting, realistic color grading, face partially visible, background completely blurred bokeh, dramatic but natural mood, aspect ratio 16:9, ultra-realistic photography style. And now, look at the result. This image feels intimate and intense immediately. The extreme micro crop pulls you straight into the eyes, nothing else competes for attention. The sharp iris detail and visible skin texture make it feel real, almost tactile. You can sense emotion without seeing the full face. The soft reflections inside the eyes act like a silent story, hinting at the environment without showing it directly. Because the background is completely blurred, your focus never escapes. It doesn't feel like a close-up, it feels like a moment paused in time. This is the power of a true cinematic microshot. Minimal framing, maximum emotion. Let's talk about why this changes everything in short. This is where Nano Banana Pro stops being just an image generator and starts acting like a visual storytelling engine. You're not creating random pictures anymore. You're designing micro movies, storyboards, music video concepts, short film visuals, even full narrative plans before editing anything. And because each frame is connected, you can immediately see whether your story flows visually, something that normally takes hours of manual work. Lastly, I want to give you some recommendation about the usage of this prompt and feature. Start small, try 4-5 frames, keep the character and environment simple. Focus on visual flow, not perfection. Once you feel comfortable, push to 6-8 frames. Combine this with camera movement terms you just learned. Upload a character reference image for maximum consistency. This is exactly how professionals think when they are planning visual narratives, and now you can do it with one well-structured prompt. Hey everyone, welcome! Today we are diving into something really exciting, Google Whisk. If you ever wished you could create visuals like a pro, maybe even animate them without spending hours in Photoshop, this tool is going to blow your mind. It's an experimental AI from Google Labs, and while it's powerful, it's also surprisingly approachable, even for beginners. So, what exactly is Whisk? Well, unlike the usual text-to-image generators, Whisk thrives on visual references. That means you don't need to craft long, complicated prompts to get something amazing. Instead, you give it images, tell it what you want to focus on, and it works its magic. Think of it as a visual remix machine. You provide the pieces, and it creates something new, consistent, and polished. Under the hood, Whisk actually combines three of Google's models. First, there's Nano Banana, which is all about editing and keeping things consistent. If you want your character, your product, or even a specific color palette to stay the same across multiple creations, Nano Banana has your back. Then there's Imagen, which is the part that actually generates the images themselves. Imagen 4 is what you'd use if you're aiming for top-notch quality. Finally, there's VEO or VEO3, which allows you to take a static image and animate it. Imagine creating a little character or product and then watching it move across a screen. That's what VEO can do. And the best part, with a Google account, most of this is completely free. Image generation has a very generous limit, and even video animations, while capped for free users are still more than enough to experiment and learn. When you start using Whisk, the workflow is intuitive and almost playful. You organize your inputs into three main categories: subject, scene, and style. The subject is your main object or character. Maybe it's a person, a frog with a briefcase, or a sleek new gadget you're designing. The scene is the environment could be a bustling city street, a medieval castle, or a futuristic studio. Style is where you really have fun, you can make it Pixar-like, anime-inspired, or give it a vintage film grain vibe. Here's a tip that I always tell my learners. Drag and drop works wonders. If you generate an image you love, you can just drop it back into any of these categories for the next round. It's like building your own visual Lego set. And because Nano Banana keeps things consistent, you can place that same frog character in multiple environments without losing its defining features. Want it on a sunny beach, then in front of the pyramids? No problem, it stays recognizable every time. But maybe you're feeling a bit more adventurous and don't want strict consistency. That's where turning off the precise reference setting comes in. Suddenly, the AI has more freedom to interpret your references creatively, giving you variation you might not have imagined yourself. Another feature I absolutely love is Refine. You don't have to download an image, edit it, and re-upload it anymore. Just type your instructions directly, something as simple as change the frog suit to a blue shirt, or add a briefcase next to the robot, and Whisk does it. You can even tweak your reference images on the fly, like adjusting colors or textures before using them in your main generation. It makes iterating incredibly smooth. Output control is another area where Whisk shines. You can select aspect ratios depending on your purpose: landscape, portrait, or square perfect if you're thinking about social media formats or presentations. And if you want options, hit generate a few times and you can get multiple variations in minutes. Feeling stuck? Use the dice roll feature for random inspiration. I like to think of it as brainstorming with AI. It sparks creativity in ways you might not get on your own. And let's not forget about animation. With the animate button, your still images can come alive. You can give Whisk a short description of the motion, like the car drives down the road, or let it figure it out for you.
What a lovely day!
Even though free users have limited monthly animations, it's enough to play around and see how your visuals move. Organization and collaboration are also baked in. Whisk automatically saves everything in your library, so nothing gets lost. And if you want others to replicate or remix your creations, you can share what Google calls recipes, all the inputs, prompts, and references used for a particular image, so anyone can start from exactly where you left off. Now, a few practical tips I always share with learners to get the best results. First, the quality of your reference images really matters. The better the reference, the better the output. If you're trying to maintain a specific character or object, make sure it's in the subject slot and ideally on a clean background so the AI can focus on what matters. Use Nana Banana when consistency is key. Don't be afraid to edit directly in the Refine chat instead of going through multiple downloads. And if the AI seems confused about some details, copy the descriptive text it generates for your reference image and paste it into the main prompt. You're giving it a clearer instruction without doing extra work. At the end of the day, Google Whisk is all about exploration and iteration. You can start with a single image, a basic style, or even just a spark of an idea, and Whisk helps you bring it to life, refine it, and even animate it. It's a tool that lets you experiment fearlessly while keeping things organized and consistent. So my challenge for you is simple. Grab a reference image, pick a style you love, maybe add a scene, and just start playing. Don't worry about perfection. Experiment, iterate, and watch how quickly your ideas turn into high-quality visuals. That's where the magic happens. Welcome back. In this session, we are going to bring a few different elements together to create one beautiful, consistent composition. We'll mix multiple visuals into a single scene, explore how to keep everything visually coherent, and then take it one step further by adding sound and atmosphere to turn it into a short animation. And the best part, we'll do it all completely for free. I've kept this lesson short but packed with powerful hands-on examples, so let's dive right in. First, open your browser, go to labs.google.com. Once you're there, click on the Experiments button in the top left corner. You'll see a list of creative AI tools offered by Google Labs. And then select the tool called Whisk. Find the Google Whisk and click on Try it now. Now, Whisk is a really fun tool because it lets you generate both images and animations using a simple drag and drop interface. I've already explained the technical setup in a previous lesson, so this time we'll jump straight into the example. Here's what I'll do. I want to create a realistic photo of a woman sitting at a cafe. For that, I'll use a female model as my main subject. Then, I'll upload a second image that I designed in Canva. This one includes a skirt, a t-shirt, a pair of sunglasses, and a handbag. That will serve as my second subject. Finally, I'll upload a cafe photo as my background, that's our scene. So, we'll have 3 layers in total. The model, our main subject, the clothing and accessories, the second subject, and the cafe background, the scene. Once all of these are uploaded, I'll enter a very simple prompt, portrait of a woman sitting at a cafe shop. Then I just hit generate. And here's where the magic happens. In a few seconds, Whisk intelligently combines everything, the model, the clothes, the accessories, and the background into one cohesive, realistic photo. The model's face and posture remain consistent, the sunglasses and back blend naturally into the scene, and the outfit looks like it was genuinely worn by the person. The lighting matches beautifully with the cafe setting, creating a natural, balanced composition. The result? A polished, photorealistic image that looks like it was professionally shot even though it was created entirely with AI. Let's make a small addition to our generated photo and see how it performs in terms of consistency. I'll use this simple prompt. Portrait of a woman sitting at the cafe shop and wearing these sunglasses. And the result looks fantastic. The pink tinted sunglasses are placed perfectly on the model. They look completely natural, with no distortion or morphing. The character remains consistent, the lighting is well balanced, and the overall image feels cohesive, just as if it was captured that way from the start. Now I'm choosing one of the photos I really like from what we've generated. In the top left corner of the image, there's a pencil icon, that's the refine or edit button. When I click it, I can give Whisk a new prompt to modify the image while keeping it consistent. In other words, it takes the existing photo as a reference and updates it intelligently based on my new instructions. So I type in this prompt. Portrait of the woman sitting at the cafe shop and drinking her coffee. And the result looks fantastic. The woman is now holding her coffee and gazing outside, with beautiful lighting and natural expression. The entire photo still looks coherent and realistic. It feels like it was captured that way originally. Now, let's take it one step further and add the sunglasses back on. I open the refine menu again and I can still see part of my previous prompt there. So, I simply add a little update, portrait of the woman sitting at the cafe and wearing sunglasses. Once again, Whisk does a great job. The sunglasses appear naturally on the model's face with no distortion at all. This shows how easily you can make small creative adjustments to an image you like just by refining it with short, clear prompts. Now I'm choosing one of the photos I really like from what we've generated. In the top left corner of the image, there's a pencil icon that's the refine or edit button. When I click it, I can give Whisk a new prompt to modify the image while keeping it consistent. In other words, it takes the existing photo as a reference and updates it intelligently based on my new instructions. So I type in this prompt. Change the color of the bag into yellow. And the result is what we expected. The color of the bag is now yellow. Now let's see how we can use Whisk to create a video animation. I start by selecting one of the photos I like and clicking the animate button in the top left corner. This activates the video mode and the image opens up in a larger window. Below it, there's a prompt box that's where we'll type our video instructions. Let's give our model a simple command and see how well Whisk handles animation. Of course, since this is a free tool, we shouldn't expect studio level results, but it's surprisingly good for what it offers. Here's the prompt I'm using. She's drinking her coffee and then says, "What a lovely day." After a short wait, the video is ready and it looks great. The model drinks her coffee, then says, "What a lovely day," with accurate lip synchronization and even a natural sounding voice.
What a lovely day. What a lovely day.
It's smooth, expressive, and impressively coherent. Honestly, for a free tool, the result is remarkably good. Let's try another example, this time to explore how Whisk handles different video styles. We'll follow the same workflow. First, we'll generate a photo, and then we'll turn that photo into a video. For this one, I'm choosing a female model as my subject. In the scene section, I'm uploading a street photo which will be the background for our video. And in the style section, I'm adding an animated style image. Basically, I'm telling Whisk, create it in this visual style. Now I type in a simple prompt. This girl is singing and dancing. That's it, a short, clear instruction. Before generating, I also update the aspect ratio to 16:9, so it fits nicely as a video format. The result looks fantastic. The girl is dancing and singing in the street, and the image perfectly matches the animation style I uploaded. The colors, lighting, and energy all feel coherent and lively. Next, let's test something different. I remove the style image and run the exact same prompt again. This time, Whisk produces two realistic photos of the same girl. She's still dancing in the street, but now it looks completely natural, not animated. I picked the version I like best, the one that feels more realistic, and click the animate button in the top left corner to open video mode. In the prompt field, I type, "The girl is singing and dancing along the way." After a short wait, the video is ready and it's exactly what I wanted.
Catch a dream and fly away, up so high. What do you say? Let the stars all lead the way. Catch a dream and fly away, up so high. What do you say? Let the stars all lead the way.
The model dances and sings naturally within the same street scene. The motion feels smooth, the lighting is consistent, and the overall atmosphere looks great. A really impressive result for such a simple, free setup. Now here's a little bonus to end on a high note. If you're in one of Google's G1 supported countries, you actually get 5 free Whisk Animate video generations every month, no subscription needed. That means you can turn your AI generated images into short, dynamic videos with Urok3. Just to experiment, play around, and see how your ideas come alive in motion. And the best part? Those 5 free video credits reset every month. So even if you're just starting out, you got a steady opportunity to practice, improve, and explore all without spending a cent. Of course, if you find yourself wanting to push further, maybe producing more videos for content creation, storytelling, or creative projects, you can always upgrade to Google AI Pro or Ultra. Those plans give you a higher generation cap and more flexibility, but for now, those 5 free monthly videos are more than enough to start experimenting, learning, and creating something unique. So think of this as your creative playground where every month you get a new chance to test ideas, see results instantly, and watch your imagination move. Welcome to the very first hands-on lecture of our Cinematic Prompt Engineering course. In this lecture, we are going to make something visually powerful and step-by-step approach. You'll first see how NanoBanana can instantly shift the mood and realism of your image using 5 different photographic styles. Then we'll move to Google Whisk to see how we can take those same creative ideas, upload our own subject, edit, and restyle the results like a pro visual designer. By the end, you'll not only understand what these style categories mean, you'll actually see the difference they make side by side. Before we start generating, let's make sure you know how to access both tools. NanoBanana can be opened in 2 simple ways. You just go to gemini.google.com, click on Tools, and then select Create Image button to use NanoBanana. 2. From Google AI Studio, where you'll find NanoBanana under Experimental Image Tools. Both options work exactly the same, so choose whichever feels easier for you. On the other hand, Google Whisk is a separate creative tool designed for image editing and animation. You can access it directly from your Google Labs or Workspace experimental section, or sometimes from the Gemini Tools hub if it's available in your region. Once you're inside, Whisk allows you to upload your own images, modify them with prompts, and even apply cinematic styles or edits instantly. Alright, with both tools ready, let's start creating. Let's at first take a look at how set up the base prompt in NanoBanana. In NanoBanana, we'll first generate a base image, our starting point. This gives us one clear, consistent subject to work with. Our base prompt describes a dramatic studio portrait of a woman wearing detailed calavera, sugar skull, makeup, and a black off-the-shoulder dress. She is facing the camera confidently, her arms crossed, surrounded by warm candlelight against a dark background. And the result is realistic. The image NanoBanana generates looks powerful and atmospheric, a beautifully lit portrait with rich contrast, glowing candle reflections, and striking facial details. It captures both elegance and mystery, giving us the perfect foundation for exploring different photographic styles next. Now that we've created our base image, it's time to take things a step further. We'll use this same base prompt and transform it into 5 different photorealistic styles, each with its own unique lighting, mood, and camera feel. This means we'll generate 5 realistic image variations, all built from the same subject, but each showing a different interpretation of realism, like cinematic, vintage, monochrome, and more. Once we have all 5, we'll use them later in Google Whisk as our image style references to guide new generations and maintain consistent visual tone. This is the first style of the image that's called realistic photorealistic style. In this version, we're going for that ultra clean, hyper-real look, almost like a fashion photo shoot captured by a professional DSLR. The goal is to make the image feel so real that you could almost reach out and touch it. We use details like an 85mm lens and a softbox studio light to get crisp focus, natural shadows, and texture-rich skin and fabric. And the result is fantastic. The image Nano Banana creates looks polished and lifelike. You can see the soft glow of light on the model's skin, every thread of the dress, and that perfect balance between realism and artistry. It feels like a high-end magazine photoshoot. Let's take a look at second style. Here we shift from realism to emotion. We use cinematic lighting, deep shadows, glowing highlights, and that famous teal and orange color grade you see in movies. Think of this as telling a story rather than just showing a subject. Here is the result in shortly. The generated image feels dramatic and atmospheric. The candles cast strong rim lighting, and the shadows sculpt the subject's face like a movie still. It has that pause the movie here kind of mood, emotional, mysterious, and powerful. And the third image style is vintage retro style. Now we move back in time. We're telling Nano Banana to simulate the look of a 1970s. Film portrait warm tones, faded colors, and a touch of imperfection. You'll notice words like expired film, light leaks, and scratches, which help the AI reproduce that nostalgic analog feeling. And the result is really cool. The image has that dreamy, sun-soaked warmth of an old photo found in a family album. The colors are soft, slightly yellow-orange, with visible film grain and a gentle blur. It feels aged but emotionally rich, like a memory frozen in time. The fourth image of style is monochrome style. This one's all about contrast and emotion through black and white. Without color, light becomes the main storyteller. We want the candles to be the main source of illumination so that the shadows and highlights carve the face beautifully. And the result is very interesting and good. Nano Banana generates a powerful, sculptural, black and white portrait. You can see the fine gradients between light and shadow. The white skull makeup glows against the dark background, giving a timeless, dramatic impact. Lastly, macro style. Finally, we zoom in literally. Macro photography takes us close enough to notice the tiniest textures. The cracks in the makeup, the threads in the headdress, maybe even reflections in the eye. The shallow depth of field makes the background melt into creamy bokeh. The result is amazing. The generated image feels incredibly intimate. Every brush stroke of the Calavera makeup is visible, the beads sparkle in focus, and everything else softly fades away. It's like seeing the art of the look itself up close and personal. So now we've got 5 amazing image styles under the main category of photographic and realism styles. We created each of these using Nano Banana, and through them you've just seen how realism works, how to generate lifelike, detailed images that look like they were captured through a real camera lens. Before we move on to Google Whisk, let's do a quick recap of what we mean by style categories. We've got 3 main ones to keep in mind. A. Photographic and realism styles. These imitate real-world camera and lighting techniques. Think of cinematic shots, vintage portraits, or detailed macro close-ups basically. Styles that feel like they came straight from a professional camera. B. Traditional art styles. These are inspired by classic art forms like painting and illustration. Here you'll find looks such as Impressionism, Surrealism, or hand-drawn sketch styles that bring out emotion, texture, and artistic personality. C. Digital and artistic styles. This is where things get modern and experimental. It includes 3D renders, vector designs, pixel art, or futuristic concepts perfect for digital media and creative branding. So think of this as your foundation. Mastering realism first makes you much more confident when you step into the more artistic and abstract territories next. Alright, now that we've explored Nano Banana's realism styles, let's move into Google Whisk, where creativity becomes interactive. This time we'll use the same artistic principles, but with editable subjects and real-time control. In Whisk, You can upload your own images, make instant changes, and see your ideas come to life right before your eyes. Let's walk through this step by step. Step 1. We will upload the necklace image. Start by uploading your necklace photo. That's going to be our key subject for this experiment. Now use this prompt. Generate a portrait of a beautiful woman wearing this necklace, cinematic lighting, soft focus, 16:9 horizontal aspect ratio. Whisk will immediately blend the necklace into a cinematic portrait, adjusting the lighting and reflections as if it naturally belongs in the scene. Let's take a look at the result. The image feels like a high-end fashion shot. The model's skin has a soft, glowing light, the necklace shines subtly, and everything comes together in a beautifully cinematic tone that looks ready for a magazine cover. Here is the step 2. We will upload a new model as a second subject. Next, upload a new model photo but don't change the prompt. Keep it exactly the same. Generate a portrait of a beautiful woman wearing this necklace, cinematic lighting, soft focus, 16:9 horizontal aspect ratio. Now watch what happens. Whisk instantly adapts to the new subject while keeping the same lighting setup, tone, and overall atmosphere. Here's the result. You'll notice both images look like they're from the same photoshoot. The lighting feels identical, the cinematic softness remains, but the personality shifts, giving each model her own unique presence while maintaining perfect visual consistency. You can also experiment with a vertical format by changing the ratio. Generate a portrait of a beautiful woman wearing this necklace, cinematic lighting, soft focus, 9:16 vertical aspect ratio. And here's the result. This version looks optimized for social media, especially Reels or TikTok. The framing is tighter, more elegant for vertical display, yet it keeps that same professional cinematic feel. And our next step is step 3, editing the generated image. Now let's make a quick creative adjustment. Say you want to change what the model is wearing, maybe switch the outfit color or style. Just right. Change the color of the woman's clothes to green, and she's wearing this necklace again. Whisk will make the edit instantly, matching the tone and texture perfectly. Here's the result. The outfit turns a natural, well-lit green that looks completely believable, with consistent shadows and highlights. The necklace still pops beautifully, and nothing feels over-edited or artificial. Now we've reached the final step. Step 4. Adding a new subject into our last image. Let's say we already created a beautiful portrait of our model wearing a necklace, and we really liked how it turned out. But now we want to take it one step further by adding another accessory, an earring. Here's how we do it. Instead of starting from scratch, we simply take the image we just generated, the one with the necklace, and use it as our first subject image. Then, we upload the earring photo as our second subject image. After that, we write our prompt like this. Generate a portrait of a beautiful woman wearing this necklace and wearing this earring, cinematic lighting and soft focus. That's it. The phrase wearing this earring tells Nana Banana to blend the new element naturally with the previous look. So the result you'll get is a polished, cinematic portrait of the same model, still with that soft, dreamy focus and beautiful lighting. But now she's wearing both the necklace and the earring together, perfectly matched in style and tone. This final step shows how easily you can layer details and build more complex, realistic compositions just by reusing your favorite generated image as a base and adding new subjects step by step. So what's really happening here is more than image generation, it's creative direction. You are not just typing prompts anymore. You are orchestrating a full photo session where every visual element, light, mood, and detail responds to your command in real time. And that's the true power of Google Whisk. Now we are moving into the final stage, applying the 5 styles we just explored, but this time inside Google Whisk. Remember at the beginning of the lecture, we experimented with those photorealistic styles in Nano Banana. Now we'll take those same images and use them to understand how the style feature works in Whisk. We already have our model, the one wearing the green dress and necklace, so there's no need to upload her again. She's already saved in the system. Here's what we'll do. Open Whisk, go to the Style section in the bottom left corner, and upload our first style image, the photorealistic one we created earlier. Just a quick reminder, wait until the small yellow check mark appears. That means the image has fully uploaded and is ready to use. Now let's enter our prompt. Generate a portrait of a beautiful woman wearing this necklace, cinematic lighting and soft focus. And there it is, our model is now rendered directly in Whisk's photorealistic style. You'll notice that the lighting feels clean and natural, the skin tones are balanced, and the overall look is crisp and true to life, very close to what we saw in Nano Banana, but with slightly more refined color accuracy. Now let's quickly go through the rest of the styles, one by one. By simply switching the style image, we are not changing the prompt or subject photos, only the style input. The second one is cinematic style. Switching to the cinematic look instantly adds that movie-like atmosphere, deeper shadows, warmer highlights, and a touch of drama. The background feels more emotional, and the colors pop with a subtle film tone. Let's apply vintage and retro style. Once we load the vintage reference, the portrait transforms into something nostalgic. Warm hues, slightly faded contrast, and that soft retro glow make it feel like it was taken decades ago. Finally, monochrome style. Applying the monochrome image gives us a timeless black and white version. The play of light and shadow is beautifully balanced, emphasizing the face and the jewelry in a very elegant, classic way. As you compare these Whisk-generated results with your earlier Nano Banana outputs, you'll see a clear difference. Nano Banana gives you more creative interpretation. It experiments with texture, lighting, and emotion. Whisk, on the other hand, focuses on precision and consistency, perfect for when you want full control over tone, color, and fine details. Together, they make a powerful duo. Nano Banana for creative exploration and Whisk for professional refinement.
You know, I think we've all been there, right? Just staring at that blank portrait like you need to. I think we've all been there, right? Just staring at that blank prompt box, feeling like you need to write a novel just to get, I don't know, a golden retriever wearing a tiny hat in a field with like perfect cinematic lighting.
Oh, yeah. It's just this marathon of trying to find the exact right words.
Exactly. It leads to what we're calling prompt fatigue.
It really does. And it's this fundamental clash, isn't it, between how we think visually and how we have to specify things with text. You know exactly what a, say, rusty wooden texture looks like in your head.
Right. Or that 1960s grainy film vibe.
Yeah, but getting the AI to understand that nuance through words alone, it often feels like pulling teeth every single time.
So that brings us to Whisk. This is a really interesting experimental project from Google Labs. And the promise here is maybe we can finally ditch those giant prompt dictionaries we've all been building.
Wow, wouldn't that be nice?
The mission seems pretty direct. Give creatives, designers, photographers, anyone visual, a real shortcut. A way to generate high quality, complex AI images, and crucially, consistent ones.
And the key is how. It's not about writing more text.
No, it's about visually remixing source images. You're showing, not just telling.
That's what's so fascinating, I think. Whisk really flips the script. It's built from the ground up for visual input first. You give it the core components, like here's my subject, here's the setting, here's the style I want by uploading images.
And then it kind of blends the essence of those references, along with maybe a short text prompt.
Exactly. It blends the essence to create something new, but also cohesive. It's really about putting visual control back in the hands of the creator.
Okay, so to make this happen, they've obviously got some serious tech under the hood. They're using Google's Imagen 4 model for that initial burst of quality and, creativity.
All right, Imagen 4 handles the heavy lifting for the base generation. But the secret sauce, especially for getting things precise and most importantly, consistent, which is always the hard part with AI images.
Yeah, consistency is killer.
It comes from Nano Banana.
Nano banana. Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, Nano Banana is often thought of more as an editing model than pure generation one. And that's its strength here. It brings that kind of surgical precision needed when you're working with references.
So if I upload a picture of a specific person or maybe a product.
Right. Nano Banana acts like the AI's internal continuity supervisor. It helps make sure that subject keeps its identity, its specific features across different images you generate. It's not just spitting out a generic version each time.
Okay, that's huge. That moves us past just getting vaguely similar results, and the accessibility seems pretty good too. You mentioned anyone can try this.
Yeah, as of September 2025, Whisk is free. You just need a Google account, and it's available in, I think, over 140 countries now.
Nice. So let's get into the workflow. How does it actually work when you open it up?
Okay, yeah, the workflow is very structured. The whole interface really revolves around these three main slots or pillars you see over the left sidebar. They're labeled subject, scene, and style.
Subject, scene, style. Got it. And these aren't just folders, right? They actually mean something to the AI.
Exactly. They categorize how the AI understands the images you feed it. For each one, you can upload an image or type in some text, or if you're feeling stuck, there's even a little dice roll button for some random inspiration.
Okay, dice roll. Interesting. So how does Whisk actually use these uploads? What's the philosophy?
Right. This is where it gets really clever, I think. When you upload a reference image, Whisk doesn't just store the pixels. It actually analyzes that image and behind the scenes generates its own really detailed text description of it, like a hidden prompt.
Whoa, okay. So it generates prompts from the images.
Yeah. And then it takes those AI generated prompts, combines them with whatever short text prompt you added, and uses all of that to synthesize the final output image.
Huh. That feels like, well, it's outsourcing the prompt writing, isn't it? If the AI writes the detailed description based on my image, where's my control then? Am I just handing it off?
Well, the control comes from your choice of references. You're guiding the AI's descriptive process by giving it specific visuals to start with. But, and this is really important, you have to pay attention to the little yellow check mark on each reference image.
The yellow check mark.
Yeah, you have to make sure it's actually checked, that it's active for the AI to use that image and its hidden description in the current generation. You uncheck it, that reference is completely ignored for that specific output.
Ah, okay. So you can load up references, but selectively turn them on or off for each generation. Makes sense. Let's break down those pillars then. Subject, that's pretty straightforward.
Yes, subject is your main focus. The character, the product shot, maybe a specific building. You can even hit a little plus icon to add multiple subjects. But fair warning, getting multiple different characters to stay consistent in the same image is still really challenging for AI, even with Nano Banana helping out.
Right. AI still struggles with complex group shots.
Okay. It's generally better optimized for a single main subject.
Yeah.
Then you've got scene.
Scene. So the background, the environment.
Exactly. It defines the whole setting, the lighting, the atmosphere. Think about putting your subject in, like a bright futuristic studio versus placing them on a dark medieval table. The scene reference controls that whole vibe.
Okay. And the last one is style.
Style. This is all about the artistic look and feel. You know, do you want it to look like a sticker? Or maybe a paper cut illustration? Or that 1960s grainy film look we mentioned? Or even like a 3D Pixar movie?
Lots of options.
Yeah, but here's a key constraint. You can load multiple different style images into that style slot, which is handy for switching between them quickly.
Yeah.
But you can only have one style actively checked and applied at any given time.
Only one style governs the output. Got it.
Now, we should probably talk a bit more about that consistency nuance.
Yeah.
Because even with Nano Banana, getting something exactly right, especially a person's face or a specific object, across lots of images, it's not always perfect first try.
Yeah, I can imagine what happens.
Well, those initial generations might only be, say, 70% or 80% accurate to your reference.
Yeah.
I remember trying to get a specific company logo rendered correctly on a t-shirt recently. Every time I tried to change the shirt color in the prompt, the logo just morphed into something slightly different, almost unreadable.
The dreaded logo drift, or the face slightly changing expression or shape.
Exactly. So here's a bit of a pro tip that seems to work well. Generate a few variations first.
Yeah.
Pick the best one the AI produced, the one where the face or the logo looks most accurate to your original reference. Yeah. And then drag that AI-generated image back into the subject slot and use it as your new reference image, making sure it's checked.
So you're using the AI's own successful output to refine its understanding.
Precisely. You're kind of feeding the system its own best work. It seems to lock in those specific details much more effectively for the next round of generations.
That's a smart workaround. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. One of the things that always slows me down is the iteration loop. You generate something, it's close, but not quite.
Oh, tell me about it. The endless cycle.
And that refined feature you mentioned sounds like it tackles this head on. How does that actually speed things up? Say the basic image is good, the subject, scene, style blend worked, but the client wants, I don't know, a hat added or a color changed.
Right. In most tools, that means going back to the prompt box, tweaking the text, generating maybe 4 more options, realizing you accidentally broke something else in the composition.
Yep. Then deleting those, tweaking again. It's painful.
It's the death of creative flow. But with Whisk, you just click on the image you generated that you mostly like, hit the refine button,
And then what?
and it opens up this sort of chat-like interface right there with the image. You just type simple instructions to modify that specific image right there in place.
Like chatting with the AI about the picture.
Exactly. You can literally type, the frog is wearing a blue hat.
Yeah.
Or a more practical example. Say you used a style reference for a really nice, sophisticated food photo, maybe with some blue tones. You could hit refine and type, change the blue colors to black and replace the shiny surface with a rusty wooden texture.
And it just does it to that existing image.
Yeah, it modifies the image right there on your canvas, usually without completely messing up the overall composition you already liked. It's designed for those incremental tweaks.
Wow. That speed of iteration, being able to adjust in place, that's massive for actual creative work.
It really changes the dynamic.
And speaking of speed and getting things ready quickly, you mentioned aspect ratios.
Oh yeah, that's another nice touch. Right there in the interface, you can easily toggle between different aspect ratios, like 16.9 landscape for a video thumbnail, 9.16 portrait for a social media story, or just a standard 1.1 square.
So you can see immediately how your composition works for different platforms.
Exactly. Ensures your generated images are ready to go without extra cropping or fiddling later.
Okay, this brings up a question though. What if the AI isn't quite getting one of your references? Say you uploaded a great 1940s film noir style image, but the output just looks too clean, too modern. It missed the vibe.
Ah, right. The AI didn't quite latch on to the essence strongly enough. That's where you might need what some people are calling the prompt rescue hack.
Ooh, okay, a hack. Tell me more. How does that work?
Okay, remember how we said Whisk generates its own detailed text description for every reference image you upload?
Yeah, the hidden prompt behind the scenes.
Well, you can usually access that description. There's often a little edit or info button somewhere on the thumbnail of your reference image in the subject's scene or style slot. If you click that, you can often see and copy the full detailed text that the AI wrote about that image.
The AI's own analysis.
Exactly. So you copy that super detailed description, it might be several sentences or even paragraphs long, really specific stuff, and you paste that entire block of text directly into your main prompt box, the one you type in yourself.
Ah, so you're taking the AI's detailed understanding of the visual reference.
And you're basically forcing it to pay attention by putting that detailed text front and center in the main prompt.
You're explicitly telling it, no, I really mean this, using its own words against it almost.
Pretty much. So if the visual reference for film noir wasn't quite getting you the heavy grain or the deep shadows, pasting the AI's own description like 1940s film noir style, high contrast, black and white, deep vignetting, noticeable medium grain texture into the main prompt gives those specific details much higher priority. It helps bypass any confusion the AI might have had interpreting just the thumbnail.
That is a seriously useful trick for dialing in those subtle aesthetics. Okay, super helpful. Now, what about going beyond static images? You mentioned video.
Right. Whisk also integrates with Google's video generation model, which calls a VO. You'll often see an animate button appear right on the images you generate.
So you can just make your still image move.
Basically, yeah, click animate. And it uses VO to turn that static image into a short video clip, trying to infer logical motion or letting you guide it.
How does that work with like resources? Video gen is usually pretty intensive.
It is. So they use a credit system. Typically, free users get a starting batch of credits, maybe enough for around 5 free video generations per month. Each video uses up a certain number of credits, like 20 credits per video, starting with maybe 100 free credits total.
Okay, so limited free use, but the capability is there. And can you tell it what to do in the video?
Yep. You can add a prompt specifically for the animation, Something like the car drives down the road, or the man slowly looks up. Or you can leave it blank and let the AI try to figure out some plausible motion based on the image itself.
Cool. One last area that always frustrates me with AI tools is organization. My history just becomes this endless scroll.
Oh, I know. Trying to find that one experiment from 3 weeks ago. Nightmare.
How does Whisk handle that?
It's actually much better, in my opinion. It doesn't just rely on a single chat feed. It saves all your work, your reference images, the prompts you used, the images and videos you generated within specific tabs, like My Library and Projects.
Okay, so like actual project folders.
Kind of, yeah. It makes it way easier to go back to a specific setup, maybe days or weeks later, see exactly what references and prompts you used, and pick up right where you left off without losing all that context.
That's a big quality of life improvement. And what about sharing? If I create a cool setup,
That's another neat feature. You get a combination, you really like that perfect mix of subject, scene, style images, and maybe a text prompt. You can generate a shareable link for that whole recipe.
a recipe link?
Yeah, someone else can click that link. It opens directly in their Whisk interface, and boom, they have your exact starting point loaded up. They can then use it as is or start remixing it themselves. Great for collaboration or just showing off a cool technique.
Okay, that's really useful for teams or communities. So let's try and pull this all together. The big picture with Whisk seems to be what?
I think it really delivers on that initial promise. It's offering much more precise visual control using those subject, scene, and style pillars. It offers incredible speed improvements for iteration, thanks to that in-place refine feature, likely powered by models like Nano Banana. And it integrates high-end video generation with VO.
And it's doing all this while still being free and accessible.
Exactly. It feels like a significant step forward in usability for creative AI.
Now, we should probably mention any downsides or limitations. It's still experimental, right?
For sure. One thing is output resolution. While the image quality is generally very high, the actual pixel dimensions are often capped around 1 megapixel currently. So if you need something for a huge print, like a billboard, you probably need to use an external AI upscaler afterwards.
Okay, good to know. Manage expectations on resolution.
And just to reiterate that structural point, while you can load up lots of images, only 3 core references, one subject, one scene, one style, can be actively checked and driving the generation at any one time, providing that deep input. You can add more subjects within the subject category, but the main structure is those 3 pillars.
Right. Limits complexity but maintains focus.
I think the really provocative thing about Whisk, though, is how it shifts the process. It really leans into the idea that the future of creative AI might be less about becoming a master prompt writer and more about becoming a master visual curator and iterator.
Expand on that.
Well, think about it. If Whisk can analyze an image, extract its detailed essence, and generate something new from that, how does that change how we even start a creative project? Does brainstorming become less about writing text briefs and more about building sophisticated visual mood boards?
Like instead of writing a long document describing the desired outcome, maybe the client just gives you a curated set of Whisk references, a subject image, a scene, a style.
Exactly. If the AI can understand the soul of those visuals potentially better or faster than it can parse complex text, maybe the future brief is the visual mood board, ready to be plugged directly into a tool like Whisk. Should we be spending more time finding the perfect reference images than crafting the perfect sentence?
That's a really interesting thought to chew on. Maybe the best prompt is just a really good picture, something for all of you to mull over as you maybe start dragging and dropping your own references into Whisk.
Definitely food for thought.
Hello. Let's fix your multi-subject composition so the image looks balanced and visually appealing.
Hi everyone. Before we get into all the exciting things Nano Banana can do, I wanna give you a little warm-up quiz. Think of it as a friendly check-in, not a serious exam. It's just a quick way to see how familiar you are already with the Nano Banana. Whether you have already heard the name or already know a little bit about its abilities. Here is how it works. We will see 15 questions and each one is worth 10 points if you get it right. No partial credit, no tricky question, just a straightforward true, false. If you answer 6 or more correctly, that means you have hit 6 points or above, and you officially ready to roll. It shows you already have knowledge or at least a sense of what Nano Banana is all about, and you're prepared to start exploring the real fun stuff. Things like creating logos, editing photos, or keeping character perfectly consistent across different scenes. Now, if you don't quite make it past that 60 mark, don't worry, not even a little bit. That's actually what this course is here for you. We're going to walk through every tools, every trick, and every use case together. We'll get into practice with real-world examples, guided exercises, and creative scenarios that will build your skills step by step. By the time you finish, you'll feel comfortable completely, even if this quiz feels like a stretch right now. So think of it as a warm-up round, the kind of quick game you play before the real match starts. No pressure, just a way to see where you are starting from. Are you ready? Let's jump in and see how much Nano Banana knowledge you are already carrying with you. Hey everyone! I'm so excited to take you on this journey of mastering prompts in Nano Banana. I know that feeling when you try to tell an AI what you want and it comes back totally different. That can be frustrating. But once you get the hang of this, Nano Banana becomes your creative partner, turning the images in your head into reality. Let's start with the basics. A prompt is like a set of instructions for an AI that's incredibly talented but extremely literal. It doesn't have imagination of its own, it relies entirely on yours. Imagine you're telling a master chef exactly what to cook, down to the ingredients, timing, and plating. That's what a prompt is, your recipe for a visual masterpiece. The clearer and more detailed you are, the better the result. Garbage in, garbage out. Genius in, genius out. Now, Nano Banana shines at creating images from scratch. And there's a formula I love to use that keeps everything structured. It's simple. Start with the subject, then the action, then the environment, art style, lighting, composition, and finally, the little details that bring it all together. Let's bring this to life with a single example so you can see the prompt grow step by step. Our subject will be a distinguished elderly gentleman with a neatly trimmed silver beard wearing reading glasses. First, the subject. This is who or what is in your image. The more specific you are, the more the AI understands your vision. Instead of saying a man, we go with a distinguished elderly gentleman with a neatly trimmed silver beard wearing reading glasses. Next, the action or pose. What is this gentleman doing? Is he just standing, or is there life and energy in the scene? Let's bring him to life. A distinguished elderly gentleman with a neatly trimmed silver beard, wearing reading glasses, thoughtfully gazing out a rain-streaked window. You see, how just adding the action already paints more of the story, right? Now, the environment. Where is he? The background sets the mood and context. A distinguished elderly gentleman with a neatly trimmed silver beard, wearing reading glasses, thoughtfully gazing out a rain-streaked window, sitting in a cozy study lined with towering bookshelves, warm wooden furniture, and a softly glowing fireplace. Now, we know the environment. The scene is sad, and the environment is vivid. Where is he now? We know already. The content is now clear, and the background sets the mood perfectly. Next up is art style. How should this scene look? Are we going realistic, painterly, or whimsical? Let's make it feel like a fine, classic portrait. A distinguished elderly gentleman with a neatly trimmed silver beard, wearing reading glasses, thoughtfully gazing out a rain-streaked window, sitting in a cozy study lined with towering bookshelves, warm wooden furniture, and a softly glowing fireplace. Painted in a realistic oil painting style, with visible brush strokes and rich textures, inspired by classic 19th century portraiture. Now, we got a clear picture of the world around him. It's like stepping in a moment where everything feels alive and real. The environment isn't just a backdrop. It's a living, breathing space that shapes how we feel, pulling us into the story. Then comes lighting, which shapes mood and focus. We can get very precise here. A distinguished elderly gentleman with a neatly trimmed silver beard, wearing reading glasses, thoughtfully gazing out a rain-streaked window, sitting in a cozy study lined with towering bookshelves, warm wooden furniture, and a softly glowing fireplace. Painted in a realistic oil painting style, with visible brush strokes and rich textures inspired by classic 19th century portraiture. Soft, natural light filtering through the window, casting gentle shadows across his thoughtful face. The soft lighting creates a focused and calm mood, casting gentle shadow that gives the subject a thoughtful, soulful feel. This warm glow reminds me of 19th century oil painting, makes you feel the story and emotions of the object. Next, composition. How the scene framed, close up, medium shot, or wide shot. Let's position our camera. Medium close up, chest up, with the rule of thirds applied to position him slightly to the left, showing part of the study behind him. After this prompt, with a medium close up, the resulting image is a chest up shot of the subject. The rule of thirds are applied to the composition, placing the main focus, the person, slightly to the left side of the frame. This creates a more dynamic and visual interesting image than if the subject are centered. The background, which is part of the study, is visible on the right side of the frame, providing context and depth without distracting from the main subject. Finally, the details, the magic words that enhance quality and polish everything. Hyper-detailed, cinematic, photorealistic textures, rich color palette, 8K resolution. Although the result isn't exactly what we aim for, the colors are now vibrant and deep, and the whole image feels like a high-budget film, the sharp and clear, capturing every detail precisely. You can take this final image, use a photo editing tool to make any adjustment you like, or use various tools to increase the resolution to 2K or higher. And just like that, from a simple idea, an elderly gentleman, we've crafted a full, precise prompt that Nano Banana can follow to create an amazing image. Notice how each step flows into the next, gradually building a full scene that's alive with action, context, style, and detail. The key takeaway here is that your prompt is a story you're telling the AI. Every element matters: subject, action, environment, style, lighting, composition, and details. The more you practice, the more intuitive it becomes. You'll start to see your vision clearly in your mind before you type a word, and Nano Banana will follow your lead perfectly. Welcome! Today, we're diving into something that's both fun and incredibly powerful, learning how to control camera angles with nothing but words. No camera gear, no lighting setup, no models or props, just prompts, just language that directs the scene. Now, you might be wondering, why should we care about angles? Well, think about this. The angle of a shot is never just about where the camera sits. It's about emotion. A low angle can make someone look larger than life, powerful, even intimidating. A high angle can shrink them, making them seem fragile or vulnerable. Moving closer, and suddenly you are face to face with raw emotion. Pull back into a wide shot, and you see how small they are in the vastness of their world. Angles don't just show us what's happening, they shape how we feel about it. Traditionally, if you wanted to explore this, you'd have to go through the whole process. Hire a model, book a studio, set up lights, arrange props, and reshoot every single time you wanted to try a different perspective. That's money, time, and often a full team just to test out an idea. But here's the magic with AI. You get to skip all of that. You write a prompt, adjust the angle, and within seconds you can see the result. It's like being a director who has infinite camera setups ready at the snap of a finger. You want to test 10 different perspectives? You can do that in minutes instead of days. You want a dramatic low-angle city shot or a delicate close-up of someone's expression? No need for cranes, lenses, or weather cooperation, just a few words. And you're there. And the benefits go far beyond convenience. It's cost-friendly because you don't need studios or equipment. It's time-saving because you can experiment endlessly without waiting on anyone else. And maybe, most importantly, it's creatively freeing. You can test bold, cinematic ideas without worrying about whether it's even possible in the real world. What makes this even more exciting is how many ways you can put it into practice. If you are working on a film or video project, these AI-generated angles can double as storyboards, letting you map out a whole sequence before you step on set. If you're in marketing, you can try different perspectives for a product shot, say a sleek close-up versus a dynamic overhead view, and instantly see which one has more impact. Even in business presentations, the right visual angle can make a huge difference. Imagine pitching a new idea and instead of showing a flat mock-up, you display a cinematic shot that feels polished and professional. It makes people lean in. Game designers and animators also use angles to test how characters and environments look from different perspectives, keeping everything consistent. Teachers and coaches can take lessons to the next level by creating visuals that grab attention, while writers can see their characters in a specific moment, say a hero framed in a powerful low-angle shot, or a character isolated in a wide, empty street. And for content creators on social media, it's a game changer. You can make eye-catching visuals that stand out in a feed without ever stepping into a studio. Let's take a look at an example together. Imagine sitting down at a cafe on a quiet morning, sunlight pouring through the window, a warm coffee in hand. That's the moment we're going to capture today, but instead of grabbing a real camera, we'll direct the scene entirely with words. And here's the trick. We'll use one consistent reference prompt so the character stays the same every time. The only thing we'll change is the camera's perspective, and you'll see how dramatically that shifts the feeling of the story. Here's the reference we'll keep coming back to. A beautiful woman with warm, thoughtful eyes and a gentle smile, wearing casual yet stylish clothes, a cream sweater and light blue jeans. She is sitting at a small wooden cafe table with a white ceramic coffee cup in her hands. Sunlight filters through a nearby window, creating soft highlights on her face. Cinematic style, sharp focus, ultra realistic, cozy atmosphere. If you generate this in Nano Banana, that's your baseline. She becomes your main character. From here, every new shot is just a different way of seeing her. Think of yourself as a director moving the camera around the cafe. Let's take a look at the example prompt. Change the angle to a full body front view, showing the woman seated at the cafe table with her coffee. This gives you the whole picture, her posture, her outfit, the way she belongs in the cafe environment. It's relaxed, almost like an establishing shot in a movie. Now, let's move in a little closer. Try this. Camera view showing a three-quarter body shot of the woman, coffee cup resting on the table. Here, the frame runs from her head to her waist. You still see the cafe, but your attention naturally lands on her. You are not just noticing her outfit, you are starting to feel her presence, her interaction with that cup of coffee. And then, let's add some energy. Shift the perspective. Captured from a low-angle front view, the woman lifting her coffee cup to take a sip. Looking up at her changes everything. Suddenly, she feels strong, confident, alive in the moment. The simple act of raising a cup becomes a small but powerful story beat. Now, imagine zooming in slightly, focusing more on her than the cafe around her. You might say, medium shot of the woman smiling softly as she holds her coffee cup near her lips. This is more intimate. You see her from the waist up, close enough to notice the emotion in her smile. Perfect for telling a story about connection. Maybe she is in conversation with someone. But what if we tilt the camera above her? Let's try. Change the perspective to a high angle, looking down at the woman from above, coffee table included. Now she looks smaller, framed by the table and cup. The vibe shifts. Instead of confidence, you sense introspection, maybe even a touch of solitude. It's amazing how simply moving the camera can change the emotional tone. And if we rotate again, this time stepping behind her, you get something completely different. Rotate the camera behind the woman, over her shoulder, coffee cup on the table in front of her. Suddenly, you're not just observing, you're part of the scene, like you're sitting across the table from her. The over-the-shoulder angle invites you in. Now let's push even closer, capturing the essence of her emotions. Picture this. Close-up shot of the woman sipping coffee with a thoughtful expression. Her face fills the frame. You see the details in her eyes, the softness of her expression. It feels personal, like you've been led into her inner world. Or maybe you want to add depth and layers to the scene. In that case, over the shoulder perspective, blurred coffee cup in the foreground, camera focusing on the woman's face with a gentle smile. This creates realism. The coffee cup is there, slightly out of focus, anchoring the setting while your attention rests entirely on her. It's cinematic, the kind of shot that makes viewers feel like they are truly present. Angles aren't just about closeness, they can tell a completely different story. For example, side profile shot of the woman gazing out the cafe window while holding her coffee cup. One side of her face catches the light, and you're left wondering what she is thinking as she looks out. It builds a sense of curiosity and anticipation. Or, flip the viewpoint entirely. Change the angle to an aerial shot above the cafe table. The woman looks up at the camera with her coffee in hand. Here, you get her and the environment all at once. It feels cinematic, the table framing the story like a stage. Want something more dramatic? Try this. Drone shot from above, showing the woman alone at her cafe table in a large open terrace. She suddenly feels small, almost swallowed by the space around her. It's a brilliant way to capture themes of isolation or introspection. And of course, you can get bold with extremes. Imagine extreme low angle shot of the woman laughing joyfully while holding her coffee cup, blue sky above. Now she feels powerful, radiant, almost larger than life. Or the opposite, turning her vulnerable. Extreme high angle shot of the woman sitting at the cafe table, looking up with the city pavement around her. The environment looms larger, and she seems delicate within it. Then, push intimacy to its limit. Extreme close up shot focused on the woman's eyes as she takes a sip of coffee. Her eyes feel the screen. Every emotion, every thought is right there. Pull all the way back, and you get extreme wide shot of the woman at a small table in a bustling outdoor cafe, city life around her. Here, she becomes just one person in a much larger story. It's no longer about her alone, it's about her in the middle of life's chaos. And finally, to shake things up, place the woman on the right side of the frame, tilted Dutch angle, coffee cup on the table, cinematic tension. That tilted horizon makes the scene feel off balance, charged with drama. It's edgy, perfect for moments of conflict or tension. By now, you've seen how one simple cafe scene can transform endlessly just by shifting perspective. That's the real magic. You are not just writing prompts, you are directing. Start with your reference. Keep the character consistent and play with angles like a filmmaker. Each one tells a new story. Each one changes how we feel. Once you start practicing, you'll find yourself thinking less like a person typing text and more like a director shaping emotion with every shot. Welcome back. In this part, we are going to polish things up a bit. We'll take one of our favorite images, let's say the one in 16:9 format, and prepare it for different platforms. You'll see how to easily adapt your visuals into 1:1 squares, 16:9 wides, and 9:16 verticals, so they look perfect everywhere, from YouTube covers to Instagram Reels. And finally, we'll give those images a little quality boost, learning 2 simple ways to upscale and enhance them for a sharper, more professional finish. We can choose the generated images which we like the most, and next go to Whisk to make them size ratio adapt. Now we can access the Whisk AI tool through Google Labs. Whisk AI is a powerful platform with many features. And for now, we will use its photo aspect ratio adjustment function. This allows us to quickly resize the images we want to post on social media to the platform's preferred dimensions. To do this, let's select 2 example photos. For instance, we can choose the 6th prompt I created along with one of its variations. Then, upload the selected photo to the subject section in Whisk AI. One important point. It's best to upload photos one at a time, because if you upload a second photo, the platform will add it on top of the first one. Since we are focusing on aspect ratio adjustments, a single upload is sufficient for now. After uploading, you will see a yellow check mark in the top right corner, which indicates the upload is complete. Next, in the prompt window at the bottom, click on the aspect ratio icon and select the ratio you want. For example, I select 9:16 for Instagram Reels and then send the prompt. But wait, before you hit generate, there's one important step. If you want to keep the same character across all your images, you need to adjust your settings. Simply unlock the seed and switch on precise reference mode. This feature in Whisk ensures consistency by directly using your uploaded image as a reference. Unlike creative mode, which lets Gemini reinterpret your image in a more flexible way, precise mode sticks closely to your original character's face, style, and scene, giving you perfectly consistent results every time. And then send the prompt. In a short time, the photo, originally in 16:9 format, is converted to 9:16 vertical format, ready to post on Instagram Reels. Similarly, after deleting the old photo and uploading a new one again, make sure the yellow checkmark appears. You can select one for a square format and get a perfectly cropped image. Here's a quick reminder of common social media photo ratios. Instagram posts or carousels, 4:5 portrait or 1:1 square. Storybook PDF pages, 3:4 or A4 portrait for a clean book-like layout. Reels or TikTok videos. 9:16 vertical full screen. Using Whisk, you can easily prepare your images in the correct sizes for social media and digital publishing. Secondly, if you are also not satisfied about the resolution of the images that you get from NanoBanana, you can use the online platforms, but I always suggest using Canva app to get images with better resolution. For this example, I'm going to use a photo we created in 16:9 formats. First, I make sure the image is really 16:9. Then I go to Canva. Click the Create a Design button in the top right to start a new project. Once the page opens, I pick the size here. I select 16:9 horizontal, the presentation format. Now we have a ready workspace. Next, let's upload our photo. Super easy, either drag and drop it into Canva or click the upload button on the left and select it from your computer. After the photo is uploaded, right-click on it and choose Set Image as Background. This makes the photo fit perfectly in the 16:9 layout. Now go to the Apps menu on the left, type Image Upscaler in the search bar and pick any tool you like. I'll select the Image Upscaler app and hit the Upscale button. This boosts the resolution of our image. When you compare the before and after, you'll see a noticeable improvement in sharpness and detail. Keep in mind, since this training video is in 1080p, the difference on your screen might not be super obvious. So, where do we access the free AI tool NanoBanana? After entering astudio.google.com in your browser, you'll see a Generate Media button on the left side. We click on it, then we select the Try NanoBanana button. From now on, we can access NanoBanana for free as we wish. We can upload our photos here. We can also try to get the desired result by writing our desired prompt or comment and giving it the desired topic. Now, let's take a look at different usage scenarios together. First, what I did was about character consistency and adding, removing objects. For example, I have a photo. I immediately upload this photo to Google Gemini. After clicking upload, I find my photo and upload it. And then, to measure character consistency, I say, make him bold and serious. That is, I want him to be bold and serious. Let's see if there will be any changes, any morphing in my face or features. This way, I will learn about character consistency. Our result has arrived. In terms of character consistency, There's a perfect match between the first photo and the second result photo. There are no changes in any facial features. That's why I really like the character consistency. At the same time, it also successfully handled our prompt for adding, removing objects. Right now, I can see myself bald. Of course, what really impressed me here is that while maintaining character consistency, it also reflected the change in emotion on the face. For example, in my photo on the right, I'm smiling, but when applied to the prompt on the left, it made me more serious, with my mouth closed, and maintained my character exactly the same without any morphing. To test character consistency, I want to see the consistency by adding and removing to the given prompt. So, very briefly, I say make him full and curly hair. That is, I'm asking it to add curly and dense hair to my bald self. Let's see what it did regarding both character consistency and object addition. Yes, as a result, the consistency is still very good. There is no morphing or distortion in facial features, and it prepared me with wavy hair. Let's continue. Again, to see that it doesn't break character consistency, let's put a cowboy hat on him. I say wear him cowboy hat with a very short prompt. And let's see. Again, the character consistency is extremely good. I continue to test character consistency, and to push its limits a bit, I'm trying to see the consistency by adding more prompts to the last one I used. A prompt where I show myself eating a banana. Also, while getting into a sports car, eating sushi at a Japanese restaurant, and when I say take from a different angle, generally there's character consistency in all of them, but towards the end there might be a slight distortion in my face. This is normal. If I'm on my 6th or 7th consecutive prompt, I think this character consistency is quite good. Welcome. This lecture is an additional one to learn how to keep your character the same across every scene. Imagine you uploaded a photo of a person or a character you like. From that moment on, Nano Banana can take that same face, those same body proportions, that same overall identity, and recreate them in any number of different poses, outfits, moods, or settings. Think of it almost like you've hired a digital actor or model. No matter what scene or script you place them in, they'll always remain recognizable. They're still them, just playing a different role. The way we unlock this magic is through structured prompts, and once you start playing with them, you'll see how versatile this becomes. Let's walk through some examples together. Say you want your character to appear in motion or in a specific pose. For instance, let's take a look at this example prompt. Show the character confidently presenting an idea in a modern office setting. What Nana Banana does here is simple but brilliant. It keeps the face and body consistent. While adjusting the posture and setting, maybe your character is gesturing toward a whiteboard, standing tall with energy, or mid-sentence as if explaining something to a group. It's assertive, professional, and instantly feels alive. Or maybe you'd prefer a quieter, more thoughtful vibe. Try this one. Depict the character in a moment of quiet contemplation, looking out a window at a rainy city. Here, the AI shifts mood and body language, softened gaze, reflective expression, maybe subtle lighting, bouncing off raindrops on glass. But the person? Still unmistakably your character. And, of course, you can add action and adventure. For example, illustrate the character engaged in an adventurous activity, like hiking a mountain trail or sailing. Now you'll see movement, dynamic outdoor scenery, energy in their posture. Yet, no matter how far the mountain trail winds or how windy the sea looks, the identity remains consistent. Beyond poses and actions, Nano Banana is also great at exploring emotional range. Think about how much storytelling comes from expressions alone. Let's look at this one. Capture the character expressing genuine joy and laughter at a social gathering. Suddenly, the character is smiling broadly, maybe tilting back with laughter, while others blur softly in the background. You can feel the joy, and yet the face is still your digital actor. Now, for something a little more reflective. Portray the character feeling thoughtful and slightly melancholic, perhaps over a cup of coffee. Here, the emotion is subtler, lowered eyes, softer shoulders, maybe warm cafe tones. Nano Banana lets you capture that mood without losing the essence of the character you started with. Or if you like something sharper and more driven, try. Show the character exhibiting determination and focus while working on a challenging task. What you'll notice are sharper eyes, tighter posture, a seriousness that communicates effort but never at the expense of identity. It's still them, just shifting into a determined state. And, of course, styling plays a big part in storytelling too. Sometimes you want your character to look glamorous. Here's one example. Dress the character in formal evening wear, attending a prestigious event. The AI will place them in an elegant gown or a sharp tuxedo, adjust the lighting for that luxurious evening vibe, and yet you'll recognize them immediately. It's like they just changed outfits, not faces. But what if you want a totally different energy? Try something casual. Outfit the character in casual, comfortable attire for a relaxed weekend day. Now, they might appear in jeans, sneakers, maybe a cozy sweater. Same person, new outfit, different energy. And you can even take it further into professional roles. For example, show the character in a professional uniform or specialized gear related to a specific occupation. For example, a chef's uniform, an astronaut's suit. This is where it gets really fun. Your character could be cooking in a chef's kitchen, sitting up in a lab coat, or even floating in space, and yet their identity is anchored by the reference you provided. Beyond styling, environments completely change the story too. Picture this. Place the character in a bustling market square, in an exotic city. Suddenly the background is alive with stalls, colors, and movement, but your character remains the clear focus. Or maybe you'd rather move into the future. In that case, depict the character interacting with a futuristic piece of technology in a sleek, minimalist room. Now you've got holograms, glowing tech, sleek furniture, but the same face you uploaded grounds the entire scene. And if you want a completely different mood again, here's another. Show the character relaxing in a cozy, rustic cabin by a fireplace. Think warm lighting, wooden textures, the glow of fire on their features. The environment shifts to something intimate and calm, yet the identity stays constant. Objects and interactions are another layer you can explore. For instance, illustrate the character carefully examining an antique map with a magnifying glass. Now, Nano Banana adds props to enrich the scene, maybe an old parchment map spread across a table, their expression curious and focused. Or maybe you want a touch of warmth. Show the character gently petting a small, friendly animal, for example, a cat, a dog. You'll notice how adding that simple interaction introduces emotion and relatability. Yet again, the face doesn't waver. And sometimes the magic is in the implied story. For example, depict the character sharing a light-hearted moment with an unseen friend. For example, looking at something together and smiling. Here, you'll see gestures, a laugh, a pointing hand, a glance towards something off frame. Even without another visible person, you feel the connection. So, when you look at all these examples together, the real power of Nano Banana becomes clear. You're not just creating random images, you're building a consistent, recognizable figure who can live across moods, outfits, actions, and words. It's like having your own digital actor who never loses their identity no matter how many scenes you put them in. Welcome back. Now, let's move on to one of my favorite features in Nano Banana, smart photo multiplication and scenario generation. This is where the things start to feel almost magical. Here is the idea. You can take a single photo, just one frame, and Nano Banana can instantly duplicate it from different angles, change the lighting, tweak the ambience, and or even add brand new objects. Amazing, right? Or for example, if you really liked a photo from your wedding or your spouse said, "This photo is amazing," you can immediately reflect this photo with different objects from different angles in different ways with a prompt. You tell the AI and it multiplies it for you. Adding extra objects to product photos and changing the background becomes very simple. In short, with this feature, we transform a single frame into different scenarios. Honestly, if people ever wonder which professional AI might disrupt first, I would say photographers need to keep an eye on this because it's getting impressive. Let's take a look at together. Yes, I'm in Google AI Studio again. I said generate media. I also checked try Nano Banana. As an example, you can upload your favorite wedding photo. I found a bride's photo online here. I'm telling it something like this. Woman is sitting on a yellow chair and waving her hand in the same environment. So, I'm saying that in the same scene, in the same environment, the bride is sitting on a yellow chair and waving her hand. I apply a very simple prompt, and in a very short time, I get a perfectly different photo duplicated with the bride sitting on a yellow chair and waving her hand, with different objects in the same light and the same scene. If the photos look great to you, we can continue generating scenarios. Let's do this. We're in Gemini. We're still in the same window, so Gemini now knows both your photo and what you're doing. I want to apply a prompt like this. I say generate an image and put a colon, because sometimes it might not understand generate photo. 3 B-roll footage of this woman in the same environment. This time I wanted to create a collage with different scenes. Let's see what kind of photo it will generate for us. Yes, we wanted it to make a collage in our photo, and we told it to use the same objects. That's why I said in the same environment. And you can see from photo quality to character consistency to angles in the same frame, in the same scene, it allows us to obtain magnificent collages and frames. I think it's an excellent feature. I think these newly generated photos will be very useful for album and catalog work. Finally, I wanted to add a piano to the scene and show you different photos. Now, let's stretch this idea even more. Think about a simple family photo, just one picture. Normally, that's where the story ends. But what if you wanted to see that same photo come to life in different settings, almost like snapshots from different chapters of your life? That's exactly what this tool lets you do. Let's take a look at the first example. I asked the AI to imagine the family of 4 sitting at a table in a luxurious hotel garden, surrounded by lush greenery and blooming flowers with soft morning light casting a warm glow. The result? It looks like the family just sat down for a beautiful breakfast in a five-star hotel. Then I tried something different. I told it the same family of four. This time, sitting together at a small round table in a cozy cafe, surrounded by books and armchairs, dim lighting, and warm colors that create a welcoming atmosphere. Suddenly, it feels like an intimate afternoon spent over coffee, captured in perfect detail. And just to show you how flexible it can be, I moved the whole scene onto an airplane. I described the family sitting together, looking out the window of a sleek, modern plane interior. With cool lighting and a sophisticated vibe, the transformation is seamless. The family looks like they are mid-flight on a stylish trip. What's happening here is more than just a background swap. The AI keeps the families look consistent their expressions but reveals the entire environment around them. So the photo feels authentic in each new setting. With just these three examples, the same family photo now exists in a luxury hotel garden, a cozy cafe, and even on a plane. And you are the one in control, guiding the story with your words. That's the real magic of this feature. You can take one image, whether it's a wedding portrait, a single headshot, a group photo, or even a simple product shot, and multiply it across endless professional grade scenarios. Upload once, describe what you'd like to see, and the AI does the heavy lifting. It's like carrying around a full creative studio in your pocket, ready to transform one picture into many. And that's the beautiful of the feature. With a single frame, you're not limited anymore. You can expand it, reshape it, and build whole storylines around it without losing the original atmosphere you want. Hi, welcome back. Now let's explore another feature that I think really blow your mind. A little earlier, I mentioned how you can combine different objects to prepare advertisements or catalogs. Normally, this kind of work is expensive, as you know. You'd have to hire models, buy or rent products, set up professional lightings, and find the perfect location. It's really hard. Even then, you're not done. You'll still need designers to create the advertisement covers, posters, and banners. It's days of work, not to mention the cost piling up every step. It means that it's really expensive process. But now, with what I like to call the AI advertisement workshop, all of that changes. Thanks to Nano Banana, character consistency, lighting, and location problems disappear. You can combine products as you wish, and eye-catching catalogs, advertising posters, and many cover designs are ready with a single click. In short, work that used to take weeks now comes to life in seconds, and it's completely free. Come on, let's take a look at these two. First, I'm uploading my photos, a model and glasses. Let's immediately turn this into a prompt. I said, generate an image, gave a very short prompt saying, girl wears these glasses, and right in front of us, it has magnificently put the glasses on the model with the same lighting. No need for any studio lights. No need to find this model. No need to buy the glasses. I think it turned out great. I continue immediately. I say, make an amazing Gucci poster. I'm on the last photo. I give this prompt, and in a very short time, it prepared a Gucci poster, reflecting this entire composition. You can use this anywhere, whether in advertisement, but I wasn't done. I wanted to see how far I could push it. Since the system already knew the model and the glasses from my last step, it basically memorized the composition. I decided to give it a new instruction and I wrote a prompt. The model is sitting on a luxury chair in a train with the same lighting situation. In a very short time, a magnificent scene emerged. Nano Banana flawlessly produced this with the model wearing glasses in the desired scenario, in the same lighting environment. The model's character consistency is fantastic. The stage lighting is almost like studio quality. I'm sure you're realizing it too. Moreover, she is sitting in the seat we wanted, and a realistic scene has been created inside the train. I think it's a magnificent feature. To push the limits a bit further, I also tried this prompt. Let's say we want a luxurious and modern designed room scene. Again, there's no need to create the scene, go set it up, or put studio lights. First, I uploaded a photo of our room scene, then I gave a simple prompt. The model is sitting in this room with the same lighting and keep the composition. That is, I said the model is sitting in a room suitable for the conditions and composition of the room I provided and for the stage lights. So I'm trying to put her into the room in the photo. The result is, I think, extraordinary again. Without any setup or scene preparation, you can produce incredible advertising scenes or catalog shoots just with this feature. Nano Banana alone is sufficient here. Truly amazing. Well, speaking of catalog shoots, I wanted to spoil you a bit and show you one or two alternatives. I uploaded the scene and model I wanted. Then I generated the scenes using short and simple prompts. That's when it really hit me that a banana alone is powerful enough to handle the kind of catalog and advertisement work that used to require entire teams. From product integration to location chains, from poster design to lifestyle scenes, everything happens in seconds. Honestly, it's extraordinary.